One Piece Angel Fruit Chapter 1-20. Chapter 1 Angel Fruit. Eat, don't eat, eat, don't eat. As night fell, Jerry hid in an old house with no one around, and looked at a wooden box he found in front of him by rummaging through boxes. Inside the wooden box was a strange fruit with a spiral pattern on the peel. Jerry was picking the petals and murmuring, and he wanted to use this method to decide whether to eat or not to eat. Ruijia, who was still chatting and spanking with his girlfriend yesterday, did not expect to be struck by lightning when he was collecting clothes. Today, he is already in a completely different world, the world he is most familiar with, and he has also changed. Become this boy named Sparrow D. Jerry. As a full pirate fan, Jerry of course knows that the devil fruit that countless people dream of is in front of him, but he has never seen the devil fruit illustration, so he can't tell the fruit in front of him at all. What is the fruit? However, from the place where he found this fruit, he should have guessed that this fruit is unusual. He is now in the old house of One Piece, King of Pirates Gul D. Roger, who was executed by the world government 20 years ago. This fruit was executed by Roger. It was hidden so deeply that even the government could not find it, but it is conceivable that the fruit must be very peculiar. After Gul D. Roger was executed, his old house was seized, and it had been standing in a quiet corner of Logatown for so many years, until Jerry, who just came to this world today, when he learned that this was One Piece, when King of Pirates Roger's old house was mixed with impulse, curiosity and excitement, he risked being arrested and sneaked into the house in the middle of the night. After rummaging through the boxes, Jerry accidentally opened a secret compartment in a storage room on the second floor, and found this wooden box inside, and inside the wooden box was a devil fruit. I don't care about March 7, 21, and March 8, Women's Day, since I have entered the world of pirates, how can I survive without a special ability, and since God let me get this fruit, I won't eat it for nothing. He opened his mouth wide and took a bite. It's so fucking awful. Jerry's mouth was full of disgust, as if he had eaten poop. The taste, the sourness, it was simple. After eating the fruit, he didn't feel any change in his body. Jerry stood there for a long time. What the hell? Mao didn't even react. With a little force, the small wooden box in his hand was crushed by himself. Jerry looked at his hands in surprise. It seems to be reacting a little bit. He held the next door with his hand again. Squeak! A crack appeared in the thick wooden door. The ecstatic Jerry looked at his hands, both excited and apprehensive. What kind of fruit will this be? He carefully felt every part of the body, felt the changes of every cell and every capillary in the body. Suddenly, there was a tingling pain in the back, and it felt like the body was about to split. Shish! A white light flashed past, and behind it appeared a pair of white, long feathered giant wings. The wings were so huge that the room couldn't hold it. Jerry found a mirror and looked at himself in the mirror. He held his breath and his thoughts almost stopped. An angel appeared in the mirror. Is this an angel fruit? Zone, mythical, an angel fruit. Jerry was originally a teenager in a restaurant. His daily routine was serving dishes, washing dishes, being scolded, beaten, and starving. When Raiji came here and accepted the original idea of Jerry, this experience almost made Raiji collapse. Due to the long-term lack of food and clothing, Jerry's physique was extremely thin, and even if Ruijia wanted to resist, he was too weak. The night passed quietly, and the next morning, Jerry started his day again, getting up early to clean, and then helping in the kitchen. When there were many guests around noon, he began to serve dishes in the hall. But even so, their fat-headed boss was still dissatisfied. As long as Jerry was a little slack, he immediately scolded his face. The key is that the proprietress has been blowing her ears in the boss's ears, and she doesn't know whether Jerry digs the ancestral grave of the proprietor's family or what. Being picky, this made Jerry hate these two bosses and couples who both weighed more than 200 pounds. On the first day, because of Jerry's unknown circumstances, with a weight of less than 100 pounds, the couple, who weighed more than 500 pounds, ended in a fiasco with a belt fried shredded pork. But today is different. Ever since he ate the devil fruit last night, Jerry has been thinking about how to take revenge on the evil couple who squeezed the blood and sweat of poor teenagers and exploited the surplus value of laborers. Jerry, did you steal the drumstick from the fourth table guest? Jerry, why hasn't the table 5's beer been served yet? Jerry, why hasn't the menu for table 7 been delivered yet? Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. Don't make a mess here, get in there and wash the dishes. You are fined not to eat at noon. The couple was constantly squeezing Jerry, those greedy eyes and disgusting fat face, so that Jerry didn't want to take another look. Boom blah blah. There was a crackling, and Jerry threw all the dishes he was carrying to the ground. I don't give a fuck anymore. Finally, Jerry broke out, and he just came to this world for more than 20 hours, and he couldn't bear it anymore. Facing such a boss, the only thing Jerry can do is to resist, resist, resist. Hey, you're really good at it. You were beaten up with us yesterday, and you forgot today, right? Seeing so many of his dishes shattered, the boss's heart also shattered. When the heart is broken, the anger is even greater, and he pulls out the belt around his waist. Jerry, I think you have eaten something wrong and damaged your brain recently. It seems that you need me to treat this disease for you. He waved his belt and hit Jerry. At this time, the restaurant was already crowded with onlookers, and when Jerry threw the plate just now, he had already attracted the attention of many people. The boss who saw the fat head and ears would teach his handyman a lesson, one by one. They all gathered around to join in the fun. Crack! The belt was pulled out. Jerry stretched out his hand and grabbed the belt firmly. The boss was fascinated for a moment. He never thought that Jerry would pick it up. If it was left in the past, it would be as long as holding his head to hide. You are going to rebel. The furious boss shouted, and the boss's wife at this time was also screaming. Kill this kid, kill him. Jerry turned his head across and glared at the proprietress angrily, with a sharp gleam in his eyes. The proprietress was shocked by this stare and broke out in a cold sweat. He had never seen Jerry have such a look before, so he couldn't help shivering. The boss's belt was caught, and he was about to pull it back with all his strength. How could he know that with his several hundred pounds of weight, he couldn't pull the lean kid in front of him at all, and then he took a few steps forward. Little devil, you are courting death. A fat hand was photographed from the sky, and the people around watching the lively exclaimed, for fear that this would make Jerry look like this. Bang! Everyone present was shocked at this moment. The thin young man actually nailed the hand of a fat man who was 2 heads taller than himself and weighed more than 200 kilograms into the palm of his hand, and did not move. Move! The boss's eyes were about to shoot out fire, but the belt in his hand and one of his own hands were firmly pulled by the other party. The boss was full of horror and anxiety. What's wrong with him? Why can't I move? This kid is so thin, why does he have so much power? The boss couldn't figure out too many things. Looking at Jerry's murderous eyes, the boss's life fear for the first time. What do you want to do? Once fear occupies one's heart, it will be infinitely magnified. At this time, the boss has already retreated, and his footsteps are constantly shrinking backwards. No, wait. Jerry said a few words word by word. His tone was full of indifference and coldness. Rao is the fat boss and his wife who have always been used to squeezing Jerry. At this moment, I can't help but make a quiver. Is this still the usual kid? At this moment, several cooks and 2 other handymen who were still busy in the kitchen also ran out. Seeing that Jerry was confronting the fat boss, they all cheered for Jerry. The 2 victims of oppression and exploitation by the boss and his wife usually dare not speak out. Unexpectedly, the youngest boy among them, who seems to be the weakest, is the first to resist. With his left hand, Jerry threw out the hand that the fat boss was holding, and the weight of more than 200 pounds flew up uncontrollably. It was as tall as a person. Boom! With a loud noise, accompanied by a scream, the fat boss fell heavily to the ground. The cooks and handymen inside clapped and applauded. The fat boss pointed at a few people and scolded. What do you want to do? If you don't hurry up to work, believe it or not, your wages for this month will be deducted. When those few people heard that they were going to deduct their wages again, they thought that if they wanted to deduct money again, it was really a waste of time, and they didn't dare to say anything immediately. Seeing that her husband suffered a loss, the fat proprietress still shouted, "Okay, Jerry, it doesn't count if you broke my plate, and you hurt the boss. I tell you, even if you kneel down and apologize to us now, it's useless. I want you to spend your whole life working for me to pay it back." Quote. Jerry sneered. "I really can't cry without seeing the coffin." Jerry walked to the proprietress step by step, came to the bar, raised his hand, and slapped it down with one palm. Knowing that Jerry, who they have always bullied, has such terrifying power, did he just pretend it before? She still didn't believe her own eyes. Thinking that this must be a lie, she still insisted. "Okay, if you smash my bar again, just wait and lose money." Jerry turned around and sat on top of the fat boss, who fell to the ground. The fat boss hadn't gotten up and was made up by Jerry. He fell down again with a squeak, only to hear Jerry say, "Okay, when it comes to money, let's settle the account. I was tricked by you when I was 12 years old. I was serving dishes and washing dishes. I have never eaten a full meal. Today is exactly 5 years and 3 years. Month, according to the monthly salary of 5,000 berry, you owe me a total of 315,000 berry, and you have not paid a penny for the 315,000 berry. If I pay you interest, according to the lowest 2 cents, you owe me a total of 1,510,000 berry. How about it? When are you going to pay me this money?" In fact, the 1,510,000 berry was completely made up by Jerry. This temporary conversion of the principal and interest can't be calculated so quickly. Just saying this, the fat couple were dumbfounded. How could there be so many? You are blackmailing, you are intimidating." The proprietress was still stubborn. Jerry jumped up from the fat boss and stomped on the ground. His strength had increased by many times, and the originally flat wooden floor was immediately stepped on by him. When it sinks in, everyone can see this scene. If this foot steps on an ordinary person, I am afraid that the body will be crushed. The fat boss and his wife took a sip. They finally realized the seriousness of the matter. Jerry was no longer the Jerry he used to be, and now he has more power than they could have achieved. Jerry stepped on 2 feet in a row, and there were 2 more sunken holes in the floor. "If you guys don't pay me my salary, believe it or not, I'm tearing down your crappy restaurant." When he said the last sentence, Jerry was obviously a little angry. The fat boss wanted to get up, but Jerry stepped on his foot and screamed, "Are you going to pay?" The fat boss was pressed down by the force from Jerry's feet, and he couldn't lift his body at all. A sharp pain came, and he screamed, "Pay, we pay, we pay." Unable to bear the pain, the fat boss finally begged for mercy. At this time, several cooks and handymen also jumped out one after another. "You have deducted our salary and you have to pay it back to us." The boss and his wife never imagined that these people, who usually don't fight back and scold them, would join forces to deal with them one day, especially Jerry. I don't know where he got this weird and powerful power. Maybe it's true it could tear down the entire restaurant. Facing the 5 or 6 people united by the other party, the boss and his wife had to make a compromise and make up all the deductions and arrears. After getting the money, everyone threw up their work clothes, shouting together, "I'm not serving you anymore." In fact, Jerry doesn't care about the salary of hundreds of thousands of berry. He is angry that he has been bullied for so many years. Although he has not experienced it himself, the memory and haze he carries are all lingering. Go. Today, Jerry finally managed to breathe out the bad breath of the past 5 years, and suddenly felt very relaxed. And now what he needs to plan for himself is how to live in the next days, although as the saying goes, there are no poor people, only lazy ghosts. But Jerry is definitely not going to satisfy that 3 meals a day are enough to satisfy the needs of food and clothing. The most important thing at the moment is to be familiar with the fruit that I have eaten. This is a mythical fruit that is rarer than Logia. If such a good fruit is used as a chorus in a restaurant, it will be a waste of money. So Jerry decided to find a place where no one was around to ponder the power of this angel fruit. After saying goodbye to some of his former colleagues, Jerry first found a quiet place to sleep, and when the night was quiet, he showed the white and charming wings that the angel possessed. It was sacred and inviolable. When Jerry showed his wings, his heart was clear and transparent, and he was full of love. Pulling, fluttering. The huge wings waved, and a huge wind lifted Jerry's body up. With just a few back and forth beatings, Jerry was already flying 9 days away. That feeling of flying, that feeling of freedom, the sky is high and the birds fly, and the sea is wide and the fish leaps. At this moment, Jerry finally feels the feeling of ease and freedom in these 2 sentences. Jerry flew all the way east from Logatown. After flying for about half a day, he finally found an uninhabited island. The island was full of flowers, plants, fruits, and birds and beasts. It was very lively. It's here, I'm here to study the power of the angel fruit. Chapter 2 Weird Old Man. However, Jerry forgot the old saying, easier said than done. Although he is not unfamiliar with this world, but he is new here and has no one to guide him, how can he develop his own fruits best? After arriving on this island, Jerry had nothing but found that he had an extra pair of wings, stronger strength and faster speed. No, at least improve your physical fitness. Aware of the current crisis, Jerry customized a training plan for himself. In addition to pondering the ability of fruit, he also needs to improve his physical fitness. As a loyal Sea fan for more than 10 years, Jerry is very aware of how important his physical fitness is in this world. To sum it up in one simple sentence, the body is the capital of revolution. In this world where cattle are crowded and Vice Admiral is inferior to dogs, one's own strength and future survival are closely related and inseparable. However, the idea is beautiful, the reality is cruel. Almost a month has passed, and Jerry only feels that he has not changed much at all. His strength is still the same, and his speed is the same. Even his proud fruit ability, he just changed his wings and flew faster than before. Just a little. On this day, he was very disappointed in walking along the beach, thinking about how to better develop such a rambunctious fruit. Suddenly I noticed a row of footprints not far away. He pondered to himself, this island is very hidden, no one has ever been on the island this month, how could there be anyone? Looking for the footprints, I found an old man lying behind a big rock, ragged and sloppy, looking miserable enough. He was in a bad mood originally, but he was much better than this old man. He saw that the old man's lips were dry and cracked. He must have not had water for a long time, so he went to the island to find some fresh water for him, quenched his thirst, and left a wild fruit to satisfy his hunger. Just keep training yourself. The next day, also in the evening, Jerry still practiced running around the island. Although there has not been much substantial progress during this period, the speed and agility of this running Jerry has improved a lot, and he is considered an athlete after all. If it were left in the world he used to live in, running would probably have nothing to do with Bolt. When he just ran to the place where he saved the old man yesterday, he suddenly asked about the smell of meat. Although he usually does not eat less meat, the meat quality and aroma of this meat are obviously different from what he ate. He searched for the fragrance, and found that the old man was roasting the huge animal legs yesterday. The legs were extremely huge. He had lived on this island for so long, and he had never seen such a big animal before. On the contrary, in the nearby sea area, I saw many sea kings brought by the windlass with such a large body. Wait a minute, sea kings. This old man won't eat sea king meat, right? Jerry looked again and found that this thigh is indeed only possible for a sea king, which made him have to doubt the identity of the old man. What kind of person can subdue a sea king so easily? The old man had already noticed that Jerry was nearby, laughed dryly, and said, "Since we're here, why don't we taste the flavor together?" As he said that, he threw the incomparably huge fleshy leg out of his hand, and the technique was elegant and relaxed, and there was no reluctance at all. After Jerry caught the big meaty leg, he looked at the meaty leg, then looked at the old man, and asked, Is this leg a sea king? Old man Isho said. Yesterday the fruit you gave me didn't taste very good. Today I treat you to eat big fish and meat. How is it? Should you thank me? Jerry laughed dryly. Those wild fruits yesterday were all he usually used to satisfy his cravings, so it was a bit ugly to keep them for the old man. However, he still had doubts. He pointed to the sea outside the island and asked. You can kill the sea kings, so powerful. Old man, Hey Isho, asked. Yeah, do you want to learn this kind of skill? He naturally wanted to learn, but the origin of this old man was unknown, and the other party didn't know at all how he could learn from him in a confused way. He immediately shook his head, waved his hands, put down his fleshy legs, and continued to train himself. The two lived in peace with each other like this, and spent another month on the island. The old man had no plans to leave the island at all. One night, the old man found Jerry and said, Young man, I see that you keep exercising so much every day, and it doesn't seem to have much effect. Why don't you teach you a little trick with me? In fact, Jerry wanted to ask this old man for advice for a long time, but because of his face, he was always embarrassed to speak. After all, the two were not very familiar with each other. Hearing the old man ask this, Jerry was a little itchy, but he still wanted to see with his own eyes what the old man was capable of, so he asked. What do you mean by tricks? With a smile on his face, the old man suddenly disappeared in front of Jerry, and when he reappeared, it was already dozens of meters away. He looked at the old man in horror, his face full of incredulity. The old man instantly returned to a big tree beside Jerry from a distance of tens of meters. This big tree was at least 10 meters high. It took two people to hug the trunk completely. The old man suddenly stretched out his fingers. So lightly poke on the trunk. Squeak. The tree shook violently, and it broke into two pieces at the point where he poked. Jerry's mouth almost turned into an O shape. Is this the legendary Rokushiki? Shaved and Shigen finger pistol. The old man was also a little surprised. You still know Marine Rokushiki? Not bad, not bad. Jerry hurriedly asked. Could it be that you are a member of Marine? The old man spread out his hands, let him see his dress, and asked. Do you see me as Marine? Jerry shook his head. Not like. The old man laughed. That's it, who said that this Rokushiki can only be learned by Marine, but not by others? Jerry scratched his head embarrassingly, a little embarrassed. Actually, that's not what I meant, and I didn't say that only Marine can practice. The old man laughed. If that's the case, do you want to learn? At this time, Jerry was completely convinced by the power of these two stunts. The power of instantaneous movement and the explosion of a finger in an instant is the ultimate power that every man is pursuing. Learn, study, I study. The old man nodded with satisfaction and said. Okay, Rokushiki can learn Haki after he has finished learning it. If Haki is mastered quickly, we can develop your fruit ability well. Jerry's body trembled violently, and he said. You will Haki. And, how do you know I'm? Old man Hey Isho. Do you think that you can change your wings and fly around in the middle of the night, so I can't see it? Tell you, I not only saw it, but I also know what kind of fruit you are and what the power of the fruit is. All know. For Jerry, this sentence is like a beacon in the dark. Although I haven't found out at this time that there is an old man who just knows Rokushiki, Haki and knows his fruit ability is very strange, but he has been standing still for more than 2 months, making no progress, and the patience that he has managed to build up is almost exhausted. He wants to improve too much now, and feels that God has sent such a mysterious old man to help him on purpose, and he must seize the opportunity. Equals 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 Flowers bloom, flowers bloom. In the blink of an eye, Jerry has been on this uninhabited island for almost 2 years. For the past 2 years, he has been in the company of the beasts, devoted himself, and put all his energy on cultivation. It turned out that he was just a thin and short kid. At this time, he was much taller than 2 years ago, and his body was much stronger. Although his clothes were ragged, he couldn't hide the heroic spirit between his brows. The changes in the past 2 years are really great. Jerry has grown from a little kid to a strong man, and his heart is even more confident. The source of his confidence is his rapid progress in the past 2 years. In the past 2 years, under the guidance of the old man, he not only developed the ability of the angel fruit to the fullest, but also cultivated an extremely powerful hockey. Whether it is armament or observation hockey, there is no second person in the world like him at his age. Finally, he felt that he was qualified to walk out of this island. Because the old man is gone. Just 3 months ago, the old man suddenly disappeared from the island. Although the relationship between him and the old man has not been very good, he still waited for him here for 3 months, but there was no news. Right now, he feels that he has achieved something in his studies, and feels that it is time to leave the island and go outside to see the world. After saying goodbye to this small island, Jerry flapped his wings and flew further east, and after a long time came to a small town called Town. But the moment he landed in the town was filled with a strange atmosphere, and it always felt weird. The first thing Jerry did after entering the town was to find a good restaurant and have a big meal. He lived like a savage for the past 2 years on the island. The first thing he did when he left the island this time was to sacrifice himself. The 5 Zhang Temple. The town of Jacques is not big. There is only one street in the whole town. The restaurant is easy to find. After entering, there are not many customers. The boss saw that Jerry was an unfamiliar face. At first glance, it is the owner who has no money, and suddenly loses interest. Jerry didn't care about the boss's vision either. After ordering a few dishes that sounded delicious, he ate it on his own. He ordered 3 dishes and 1 soup, all of which are common dishes, and the boss actually charged him 10,000 bellies. Jerry has been working in restaurants since he was a child. He knows exactly what kind of dishes and what price. The dishes he ordered looked like more than 1,000 berry at most, but this black-hearted boss actually charged him 10,000. "Hey," I said, "boss, why is the price of your food so expensive?" When the boss heard Jerry's words, he immediately stood up. "Why, the vegetables are eaten, the soup is drunk, don't you want to repay your debts? But looking at you dressed like this poor ghost, it is estimated that you will not be able to get so much money." The boss looked contemptuous. Jerry scoffed. "Since you know that I have no money, you still charge me so much." The boss smiled and said, "Our prices have always been so expensive. If you don't want to pay, then I'll have to call the police." The boss thought that Jerry couldn't come up with so much money, and was going to see him laugh. Who knew that Jerry took out a stack of banknotes from his backpack, a full 10,000 bells, and put it on the table with a ding, and then raised his voice. "Go away," leaving the restaurant owner stunned on the spot. Sure enough, the restaurateur doesn't have a good thing. Jerry just came out of the island this time, and he is in a good mood. He doesn't want to ruin his good mood because of this kind of thing. But the boss is right, his clothes have been worn out for the past 2 years, and it is time to change into a good outfit. He crossed the road and came to the tailor shop across the street. He wanted to buy a few more clothes for himself. After choosing the clothes, he was ready to pay the bill. Who knew that he just bought 2 sets of ordinary clothes, and the owner of the tailor shop actually asked him 50,000 berry. "Hey, tell me, isn't your town specialized in robbery? Why is everything so expensive?" Who knew that the owner of the tailor shop looked contemptuous. "If you can't afford it, leave it for me right away." With an air of ignorance. Jerry was very surprised. The people in this town are really weird. Others regard customers as gods. Their merchants can't wait to slaughter their customers. But Jerry was in a good mood today, so he didn't care about them. Seeing that it was getting late, he found that there was actually a bar at the end of the street, so he went into the bar by some ghosts. As Jerry expected, there were very few people here. Jerry ordered 2 glasses of beer. After drinking, he found that there was no one and no fun. He decided to leave this boring bar. The knowledge of this town, 2 beers, actually charged him 10,000 berry. What's wrong with this town? Why is everyone slaughtering money so hard? To find out, Jerry decided to stay and see what was going on. Chapter 3 Arlong Empire. Chapter 3 Arlong Empire. In the next few days, Jerry was still wandering around the town. The strange thing was that after the high consumption of eating and drinking was left behind by Jerry, several bosses suddenly showed kindness and gave him a gradual decrease, and finally returned to normal levels. Jerry thought that the residents weren't bad, but what made them value money so much? Jerry has been staying for the past few days and has hardly heard any news. The people in the town seem to have a tacit understanding. They should continue their normal life and not discuss other matters at all, except that the people here are greedy for money. Besides, Jerry found that they were all good people. Jerry lived pretty well in this town, except that the consumption was a little high. There was nothing bad. But the peaceful life was soon broken by an uninvited guest. Jerry lived in a small hotel in the town, which could be said to be the only hotel in the town, and he was also the only foreign guest in the town. At night, Jerry had already fallen asleep, and suddenly, in a haze, he felt that someone was prying at his door, and Jerry was shocked. Who would sneak into my room in the middle of the night? In order not to expose it, Jerry still pretended to be asleep, snoring louder. Squeak! The door was opened, and Jerry could smell a scent keenly. Huh, it's still a girl. Who is it? Jerry became more and more curious about who this woman was sneaking into his room in the middle of the night. Although he didn't open his eyes, Jerry only knew from hearing that the girl who had sneaked in secretly stole her backpack, then closed the door softly, and walked out of the hotel on tiptoe. Jerry immediately sat up from the bed. In such a civilized town, there is actually a female snitch. Okay, let's see how I catch you. So Jerry also sneaked out of the hotel, and caught up with the female snitch who stole his backpack in the blink of an eye. After a few ups and downs, Jerry grabbed in front of the female snitch. Running after stealing something is not what a lady should do, right? Jerry wanted to pretend to be in front of the girl, but when he saw the true face of the female snitch, he couldn't hold back his excitement. Are you Nami? Standing in front of Jerry was the navigator Nami, who belonged to the Straw Hat Pirates. Jerry was a little excited. This was the first time he saw someone he knew well after he came to this world. Why are you here? Nami frowned slightly. How, you know me? Only then did Jerry realize that he shouldn't know her now, it would be too revealing, so he had to change the subject. I said, Miss, you stole my backpack, do you think I should know you? She was arrested for stealing something, and she lost her reason, so Nami had to sell her cuteness. Little brother, if you are so handsome, you will definitely not have the same knowledge as a weak woman like me, will you? Jerry issued gently, without blaming, reaching out. Just give me my things back. Seeing that Jerry was silent, Nami chased in front of her. She guessed that she was not his opponent, so she had to return his back to Jerry. Rui snapped a wallet containing money. He thought it was perfect, but when he was about to secretly rejoice, Jerry stretched out his hand again. What else? Nami had to return the wallet angrily. HMPH, what's the big deal, I'll just give it back to you. After throwing the wallet, he turned around and ran away. Jerry's movement was much faster than her, and he teleported to Nami's body. Nami was displeased. Hey little brother, I have already returned the things to you, what do you want? Jerry didn't plan to argue with Nami because of the stolen backpack, but asked. Do you know what happened to the people in this town? Why are they all so greedy for money? But I think they are quite friendly, can you tell me why? Nami glanced at Jerry. Are you from out of town? Yeah, I've been here for a few days. Nami became suspicious again. You really don't know what this place is? Jerry shook his head. What is this place? Nami is correct. You really don't know? I really don't know. Jerry still shook his head. Okay, then I'll tell you. This is an affiliated town of the Arlong Empire, and everyone has to pay a certain fee to Arlong to survive. As soon as he heard the Arlong Empire, Jerry immediately felt very familiar. Nami thought of Arlong, and one thing came to his mind. It can't be that Arlong, Jerry said carefully. When Nami saw that Jerry seemed to remember it, she smiled proudly. That's right, it's that Arlong. I can tell you, I'm the cadre of the Arlong pirates. You were rude to me just now, and Arlong won't spare you. Unless you give me your backpack. I acted like nothing happened. Jerry just remembered that Nami was still a member of the Arlong pirates at this time. The reason why she made her own money should be to make an agreement with Arlong's 100 million Bailey. As long as she raised 100 million Bailey, Arlong will let go of Nami's hometown of Kokoyasi village. For a beauty like Nami, of course Jerry has no reason to reject her. Now that he knows her difficulties, he will certainly help her, and hand over the backpack in his hand. If that's the case, take it first. Seeing that Jerry is so funny, Nami thought he was afraid of Arlong's name and was about to reach for the backpack, but Jerry stopped him. Wait, I need you to tell me something before I take my things. Nami thought Jerry would go back on it. What, are you sorry? Jerry chuckled and threw the backpack out. Of course not, but I just want to know something. What's the matter, tell me. Nami took the backpack in one hand. You said just now that this is an affiliated town of the Arlong Empire, so Arlong and the others want to collect money from them, right? Do you know when they will come here next time? Although I don't know what Jerry's question means, Nami has already obtained Jerry's backpack, and there are hundreds of thousands of berries in it. She has long since forgotten happily, and said casually. If you remember correctly, it's coming in 2 days. Jerry muttered to himself. Are these 2 days? Seeing that Jerry seemed to be all right, Nami turned to leave, and Jerry stopped her immediately. What? Going so soon? Don't want more money? As soon as she heard that there was more money, Nami immediately fell into the eyes of money and lost her sanity and IQ. What did you say? There's more money, really? Will you give me all of it? Jerry cunning Isho. Yes, when Arlong and the others come here to collect money, I will give you a large sum of money. Do you want it? If Nami is such a money fan, how could she not want the free money? I want it, of course I want it. Jerry turned around and went back. If you want more money, remember to be there when Arlong and the others come to collect the money, or you won't have the money. Nami is still surprised. This is like a pie in the sky, so let's just trust him once. Anyway, Arlong and the others will come in 2 days. She wants to see how much Jerry will give her. 3 days later, Nami never left Jacques, because he was always thinking about more money from Jerry's mouth. She has almost collected 100 million berries now. If she can grow up here with Jerry, if you make a fortune, you might be able to accomplish your goal this morning. She also stayed in Jake for the past 3 days, monitoring Jerry's words and deeds almost 24/7. But she found that there was nothing special about Jerry, still doing what to do, and not going to get more money. At this time Nami was wondering where he got more money. On this day, the town of Jacques entered the darkest day of the month. Because on this day the fishman cadres of the Arlong Empire will come to the town of Jacques to collect fees. According to the rules set by Arlong, they will charge 100,000 per month to more than 20 villages under his control on the grounds of establishing an empire. Berries fee, which is why people in this town are so greedy for money, because they need money to turn over to Arlong, otherwise, their lives will be in danger. Jerry finally knows what's going on and can't help but feel sorry for the whole town. He has been in Jacques Town for so long these days, and he has already gotten acquainted with every family in the town, so he wants to help everyone in Jacques Town even more. Arlong pirates who led the team to collect the fee. The residents of the whole town either stayed at home or waited early for the arrival of Arlong's men, but this time they were stopped by someone. Shu saw an unfamiliar face at the town's entrance. It was Jerry. He was overjoyed, thinking that this time he would be able to charge an extra 100,000 berry. Arlong would be very happy when he went back, and he crossed the line immediately. Go up, point to Jerry and call. Hello, are you new here? Jerry nodded. Yes, I am a foreigner, come here to play casually. Shu sneered. I really don't know whether to live or die, do you know where this is? This is the Arlong Empire. Everyone in the Arlong Empire is obliged to pay a fee of 100,000 berries to the Arlong Empire every month. Today, you are unlucky, led I met, as long as you pay the fee of 100,000 berry, then you can continue to live in this small town. Jerry exclaimed. 100,000 berry, that much, I don't have one. Shu's face twitched, and at this time, the nearby townspeople all gathered, and they were all worried at Jerry that if they offended Arlong's people, it would be very miserable, and they might lose their lives. At this time, the owner of the restaurant, Jack Snow, couldn't help but mention that Jerry was worried. Jerry came to Jocktown and was the first to eat in Jack Snow's restaurant. After a long time, Jerry and Jack Snow met. When he became familiar, he quickly persuaded Jerry, Arlong is not easy to mess with. If you have the money, pay it quickly, or your life will be in danger. Jerry chuckled and didn't answer. At this time, Harry, the owner of the tailor shop, also persuaded Jerry, you don't want to offend Arlong's people, or you'll be out of luck. Yeah, Jerry, if you have money, hurry up and take it out. If you offend Arlong, you might be beaten to death. The speaker was the 40-year-old owner of the Jocktown bar. Bitch, he had the best friendship with Jerry, and Jerry usually liked his bragging with Butch very much. But this time, when life and death were at stake, Boss Butch had no intention of laughing, and said very seriously. Jerry, you just came here, you may not know how powerful Arlong is. I told you that Arlong is a big pirate who came from the Great Root. In the whole East Blue, he is the most powerful man. You must not offend him. No. The residents remembered that Jerry was still young and could not afford to waste his life here, so they all persuaded him well. Arlong has caused a very big shadow in the hearts of this group of people. In their eyes, Arlong is the most powerful man in the world. Anyone who opposes him will not suffer. At this moment, Nami also quietly mixed into the crowd. She didn't want the rest of Arlong's subordinates to see her. After all, she was one of the cadres. Friendly too. Jerry saw that everyone was persuading him, and he was very grateful. He spread his hands, and his eyebrows became a character. Thank you for your concern, it's not that I refuse to give it, it's that a thief stole my money a few days ago, so I don't have a cent on me. As soon as I heard that there was no money, the old fish frowned. What? No money? If you don't have money, just wait for it with your life. He was obviously very angry, but Jerry was calm. If you don't have money to pay with your life, you are too domineering. It was the first time I heard someone retaliating here, and it was even more strange in my heart. At this time, the rest of Jocktown actually saw Jerry look at Arlong's subordinates talking, and everyone's heart was almost in their throats. What the hell is this kid doing? Is he trying to find death? Chapter 4 Arlong's personal visit. At this time, Shu had no patience to entangle with Jerry, and it seemed that he had to take him to Arlong to see how he dealt with it. It's a lifeless guy, you catch him and take him back. When they heard that the other party was going to attack, the residents of Jocktown were all terrified. They had seen the abilities of this group of fishmen, especially their leader Arlong, who could crush all teeth and steal harder than steel. The nose is simply Arlong's biggest killer, and ordinary people can't resist it. Jerry suddenly changed his eyes. Do you want to do it? I advise you to stay calm, otherwise I won't be responsible for the consequences. Shu laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, what did you say? Persuade me to calm down. I really don't know how to live or die. Jerry said coldly. There are 3 of you here. I need one of them to give me a tip. Then the other 2, please stay as hostages. At this time, everyone in Jacques thought that Jerry was crazy. No one in Jacques or other places dared to speak to the people of Arlong like this. Even if there was, it would be dead. This young man felt sorry, because when Jerry was in Jacques, he got along well with the people in the town, and the people in the town were very friendly to Jerry. Such a young life is so innocuous. It's a pity to explain it here. Shu couldn't laugh anymore at this time. Jerry was no longer talking big to them, but was staring at them with contempt. As a kissing fish man, the protruding lips look like a cannonball, which is actually a cannonball. Boom! In his rage, Shu spurted a sip of water from his mouth. This drop of water was sprayed out at an extremely fast speed, like a bullet. When the town of Jacques actually saw Shu's saliva, everyone their faces were ashen. It was not the first time they had seen Shu spit. All the people who resisted in the past were hit by Shu's saliva. They were either seriously injured or died, or paralyzed in bed. Almost no one was intact. Many people who responded a little faster shouted the word, "Be careful," but the saliva was already spit out. Almost everyone dared not look at Jerry, including Nami. She also thought that Jerry Rui couldn't dodge the jerk. Vivi turned his head sideways, unable to bear to see Jerry after the trick. Crack! Jerry slapped the saliva easily, and the saliva that he spat out was easily smashed. At this time, the people in Jacques Town did not know what happened, and still closed their eyes, but Shu saw that his saliva was so easily slapped by him. When he went out, he was extremely shocked. Even Arlong couldn't easily knock his own saliva off so easily. Boom, boom, boom. Shu spit 3 saliva in one breath, not only speeding up, but also spitting 3 times in a row, thinking that no matter how fast Jerry's reaction is, it won't help. Unexpectedly, Jerry didn't look at Shu with his left hand. A few times, the saliva was instantly knocked to the ground. This is why many of the residents of Jacques Town couldn't help but open their eyes. They were filled with joy when they saw Jerry's amazing technique. They didn't expect Jerry to be so powerful. Destroyed, everyone cheered. Seeing Jerry's hidden secrets, Shu was even more angry. Boom, 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 boom. In his rage, Shu kept spitting out saliva, like a machine gun, shooting non-stop. Jerry didn't care about his emotions at all. He stretched out his left hand, and the drop of saliva hit his hand like raindrops. Like rain, it can't cause any harm to him. Facing Shu's saliva, Jerry stepped on it, clenched his fist with his right hand, and punched Shu's stomach fiercely. Bang! With a sound of breaking through the air, this punch hit Shu's body as if it were about to break the air. Shu's originally irregular face became even more ferocious at this time. A scream, accompanied by a mouthful of blood, was beaten by Jerry. This punch hit a dozen meters away, and it was nailed to the top of the moment tree. Boom! All the people in Jacques Town were blown up. Seeing that the cadre of the Arlong pirates who had squeezed him for so long was half crippled by Jerry's punch, it seemed like they were beaten by themselves. With a sigh of anger that had been held for more than 7 years, everyone cheered at this moment. The other 2 salted fish who followed Shu saw that Jerry was so strong, and their hearts were trembling for a long time. Seeing that Fishman took a step to escape, Jerry flew up and kicked him, just right on the tree where Shu was, and hit Shu exactly on the body, making him suffer again. Blow. Jerry pointed to the remaining little minion fish, and motioned him to give him the money he had seized from other places. Obediently handed the sack full of money to Jerry. Jerry took the tape. Go back and tell Arlong. I'll cover up from here and tell him to go back to Fishman Island, and if he dares to be disobedient, tell him to turn into a dead salted fish. Okay, okay. The little fish climbed out of the town of Jacques almost in the form of crawling, and jumped directly into the sea after leaving the town. HMPH, wait for Arlong to come over and see how you kneel down and beg for mercy. The fish tail swung again and swam back towards the Arlong garden. Jerry carried the sack in his hand and saw that it was full of money. He walked slowly into the crowd and came to Nami. I said what I said that night. I said that I would give you a lot of money. I didn't lie to you. Saying that, she handed the purse to Nami. Nami seemed to be smiling, but the corners of her mouth were twitching. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How did she know that Jerry's huge sum of money was actually stealing Arlong's money? Give her, isn't that pushing her into the fire pit? She knows Arlong's strength and temperament. That guy regards money as his life. Jerry stole his money. He will definitely take revenge when he finds out, but the entire Jacques town will be unlucky. Seeing that Nami hesitated for a long time and didn't dare to pick it up, Jerry threw it away. If you tell me to take it, take it. Then he said to the inhabitants of the town. I'll follow it here in the future. Anyone who dares to bully you can come to me. Any one of you will find some ropes and tie the 2 stinky salted fish for me. Hearing Jerry's words, the whole town of Jacques didn't know how excited he was, finally getting rid of Arlong's rule, and finally turning over to be the master. Finally, he no longer had to live a life of being oppressed and exploited every day. Someone in the crowd immediately took out a hemp rope and tied up Shu and another small fish. Harry praised Jerry loudly. Jerry, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. If we knew you were so powerful, we wouldn't have to worry so much. Yes, it turns out that you have been hiding it all the time. We were all deceived by you. Everyone was praising Jerry, but the bar owner Butch kept frowning. Jack Snow patted Butch on the shoulder. What's the matter with you? Aren't you happy for Jerry who beat Arlong? Yes, Butch, why do you keep frowning? At this time, Butch straightened his face. You are all too happy too early. Jerry is great, defeated Arlong's cadres, but don't go to him and let a fish man away. That fish man will definitely inform Arlong when he returns. Arlong will definitely bring people back to take revenge when he finds out, and it's not just Jerry that's going to be unlucky. I'm afraid our whole town will be implicated. After Butch's reminder, everyone remembered the fear of being dominated by Arlong. Not only Arlong's extremely powerful strength, but also the huge sea monster brought by Arlong's men from the Great Waterway. Thinking of this, all the people they were all silent, and they were no longer happy. No matter how powerful Jerry is, he is determined not to be the opponent of that sea monster. Everyone in the more than 20 villages under the control of Arlong has seen the horror of that sea monster. It is an irresistible force of terror for almost all human beings. The originally happy atmosphere suddenly became silent, and the owner of the tailor's shop said, Jerry, run away. If Arlong and the others are here, you won't be able to escape. Yeah, Jerry, hurry up. As long as we pay the full amount, even if Arlong and the others come and can't find you, they won't do anything to us. That's right, Jerry. Run away before Arlong and the others come. The residents are all thinking about Jerry, and they are all worried that once Arlong comes, Jerry will not end well. Maybe he will be killed by Arlong, and even Nami can't help worrying about him. Yeah, just listen to everyone and run away quickly, otherwise Arlong will come, but it won't be as easy as before. Jerry gently issued. Thank you for your kindness, but don't worry, even if that Arlong came in person, he wouldn't be my opponent. You don't have to worry about me. Butch patted Jerry on the shoulder. Jerry, I know you're comforting us with kindness. We all appreciate your kindness, but this time it's not a joke. Maybe you'll lose your life here, so you better run away. Jerry shook his head. Butch, I'm not kidding you. Even if Arlong came in person, I'd beat them up like the 2 of them. Butch shook his head. You were wrong. The 2 of them are not at the same level as Arlong. You don't know how brutal he is and how terrifying his strength is. Don't say more, just run for your life. Jerry stopped Butch and said seriously. Don't talk about it. I said it just now. I will cover this town from now on. I will not allow anyone to bully you. I know that Arlong will come over in person, and I will wait for him here. Everyone was shaking their heads, thinking that Jerry's brain is really a stubborn thing. No matter how he tried to persuade him, he scattered all over the place, and he didn't know what would happen when Arlong came. Nami wanted to go up to persuade Jerry, but was stopped by Jerry. It's okay, Don't worry. Seeing that Jerry was so firm, it was useless for no one to persuade him. Tsunami had to hold it back and stood aside quietly. Jerry waited until the afternoon, when a man suddenly came out of the town and shouted loudly. Here comes Arlong, here comes Arlong. Everyone heard that Arlong had come in person. Their nerves tightened, thinking that Jerry was doomed this time. Jerry smirked. It's finally here. Chapter 5. If you say it makes you salty fish, it makes you salty fish. At this time, Jerry put Shu and another flounder tied up in front of him. Arlong's group could see Jerry at the entrance of the town as soon as they entered the town. They clashed and hurt themselves. Arlong was very angry when he heard the words, and almost brought everyone under his banner over. When he first arrived in the town, he saw Jerry standing at the entrance of the town with 2 fishmen tied in front of him, and he was immediately furious. Che, I thought he was a powerful character, but it turned out to be just a kid. Arlong's figure is very tall among fishmen. Jerry is an ordinary person's figure, 2 heads shorter than Arlong. At this time, Arlong is arrogant, looking down at everything under his feet, and seeing Jerry's appearance, then he laughed. You told me to leave here and go back to Fishman Island, or turn me into a dead salted fish if I don't. Jerry replied coldly. Yes, it seems that you really want to be a salted fish. Vivi twitched at the corner of Arlong's mouth, but immediately suppressed the fire in his heart. He wanted to see how Jerry could dare to say this. Little devil, who are you? Jerry took a breath. I am me, a different firework. Arlong didn't understand what Jerry was talking about, but Jerry's attitude made Arlong very unhappy. You beat them up like this. Jerry didn't look thin, but Arlong still couldn't believe it when he said he could get rid of it by himself. This kind of rubbish is getting my hands dirty with his hands. Arlong's endurance has reached a critical point, and his anger gauge is close to full. Little devil, I don't think you can understand the current situation, and you don't even look at the comparison of your numbers with mine. Do you still expect those low-level humans behind you to help you? It's just a dream, scary ha ha ha. Ha ha. Jerry chuckled lightly. I repeat, here, including the entire East Blue, I will cover it in the future. If you are sensible, go back to Fishman Island. If you dare to say anything, I will make you a salty shark. Seeing that Jerry was motionless, Arlong thought he was just a stubborn guy, and he was relieved for the most part. The men behind him were enough to raise the whole town to the ground, and there were still Mu that didn't appear. With Mu's huge body, as long as you move a little bit, the town will no longer exist, and the little ghost you see will no longer exist. Little devil, what's your name, so that I know who will die at my hands? Jerry snorted coldly. Listen, my name is Sparrow D. Jerry, and I'll be the man to beat you. At this time, Arlong has the advantage of many people, and completely ignores Jerry. Hachi. Hachi, the octopus who followed Arlong, immediately understood what Arlong meant. He used his long and round mouth to blow like a horn. After a while, he heard a roar from the sea in the distance. Even the earth is about to shake. The residents of Jacques Town immediately panicked. It's a sea monster, a sea monster. Everyone has seen the terrifying power of the manatee Mumu. Mumu wants to destroy a village with no effort. At this time, he heard a loud noise. It must be Mumu, which scared the residents of Jacques. Not knowing where to hide, Harry called to Jerry in the distance. Jerry, run, the sea monster is here, you can't beat that huge sea monster, run. Boom. Puff puff. A huge figure came slowly from a distance, and the faces of the residents became extremely ugly. As soon as the manatee appeared, it meant that their hometown would be in danger. Boom boom boom. The huge manatee appeared behind Arlong, and Arlong pointed to Jerry and ordered. Mumu, burn this place down for me. Mumu roared twice, and was about to start working. He glanced at Jerry who was standing in front of him, and met Jerry's sharp eyes without noticing. Suddenly, Momo felt exhausted. It seemed to be full of murderousness and terror. Jerry's eyes swept away, and a sharp light shot out, Mu felt as if he had been beaten all over his body, and did not dare to open his eyes to look at him. Seeing Mu actually hesitated, Arlong became more and more unhappy, and shouted sharply. Mu Mu, what are you waiting for? Hurry up. Hearing the master's order, Momo didn't dare to delay any longer, and was about to rush up, but was still blocked by Jerry. Momo was about to sweep away Jerry, but was volleyed by Jerry, who suddenly jumped up, kicked himself in the forehead. Boom boom boom. The huge body suddenly lost its center of gravity and lost its balance. Puff puff. Mu was kicked by a huge force and flew behind him, and was actually beaten back into the sea. At this time, the residents of Jacques Town looked at Jerry like a monster. This kind of power is simply not what human beings should have, it's terrible. All the people were speechless by Jerry's kick, but at the same time, all the residents of Jacques also cheered at this time. Jerry, you are amazing. Jerry, why are you so strong? Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. The townspeople couldn't believe their eyes. Mu, who once abused countless villages and islands in East Blue, was so easily beaten by Jerry. This is simply a god. The Arlong gang looked at Jerry in disbelief. Even their captain, Arlong, wouldn't dare to say that he could kick Mu so far with one kick and hit him directly into the sea. There is still a lot of distance between the town and the coast. It was the first time that Arlong felt that Jerry's strength was not simple. Just the strength he showed and the temperament that was not afraid of danger, he was no longer an ordinary person. Little devil, who are you? Jerry said coldly. The one who beat you. The corners of Arlong's mouth were twitching constantly. Jerry's actions had already exceeded his tolerance. He drank loudly. Give me all of you, be sure to kill this kid. The residents of the town fell into despair again. This time Arlong led dozens of people under his banner. No matter how powerful Jerry was, he would never be able to fight so much by himself. They all shouted, Jerry, run. Then they hurriedly ran around in fear. In the chaotic crowd, only Nami stood motionless in the distance. First, she was not afraid that the other party would hurt her. Second, she also wanted to see how Jerry ended. At this point, Nami is looking forward to Jerry's ability to defeat the Arlong pirates, so that she can also be free, and her adoptive mother can also be comforted in the sky. All the fishmen were ready to go out, but suddenly there was a gust of wind from nowhere. The strong wind blew, followed by a tornado that rose up in front of Jerry for no reason. Man-pirates scraped off, and in an instant, not a single one of them was left, and all of them were rolled into the air and fell far away. Jerry slowly raised his right hand and pointed at Arlong. Since I said that I want you to become a salted fish, I will definitely make you a dead salted fish. Holy tornado! With a loud cry, a stronger tornado suddenly rolled up in front of Jerry, heading towards Arlong. Chapter 6 Bounty. Arlong stared at the inexplicable tornado with wide fish eyes. Do you want to hurt me with just a gust of wind? That's naive. Jerry snorted coldly, and was about to give Arlong some color, but found that Arlong had bypassed the tornado, and the serrated knife in his hand was slashing towards him. Jerry didn't dodge, he stretched out his two fingers, just in time to clamp the serrated edge. Arlong's strength that had been holding back for a long time was suddenly stopped by the two fingers, and in anger, he opened his blood and pointed at Jerry. Bite. Jerry leaned to hide, but Arlong kept biting at Jerry. It was the first time Jerry encountered this style of play. He clenched his fists, took a good look at the timing, and punched Arlong in the face. The moment the fist hit, Arlong's entire face was deformed. With a shriek, Arlong flew out. The serrated knife in his right hand, which had already been released, was still clamped between Jerry's two fingers. Jerry groaned angrily, and when he pressed his fingers hard, the serrated knife instantly shattered into scum. Everyone present in this scene saw it clearly, and all of them looked at Jerry in awe. Who is he? Arlong looked at the shattered serrations in disbelief, and suddenly rushed towards Jerry, attacking Jerry with his serrated nose as hard as iron. Jerry snorted in a low voice. Stubborn. Suddenly his right hand clenched his fist. Bang! Kerala! Ah! A series of voices erupted in an instant, and Arlong's body also underwent huge physical changes, and his proud nose was interrupted by Jerry's punch. Jerry walked over to Arlong and stepped on his back. How is it? Are you feeling well? A scum like you will only bully the weak, and your hands will get my hands dirty, and you will lose the face of your fish man. All day long, you think that the fish man race is superior, but what you do is the worst and the worst. The next thing you do, a duplicitous rubbish like you, is simply unworthy of living in the world. Quote. How could Arlong be convinced in his heart? How could the empire he built so hard could be crushed by a little devil like this? And he climbed up despite the severe pain. Little devil, I admit that you are very stubborn, but... Bang! Jerry dodged and came to Arlong, too lazy to listen to his nonsense, punched Arlong hard in the stomach. Wow! Arlong spat out a big mouthful of blood. In the past few years, you have fished the villagers, destroyed countless villages, and killed several lives. Have you ever thought that there would be today? Arlong didn't seem to give up, and still tried to fight back, but Jerry didn't give him this chance at all, punched him continuously and punched him for a dozen consecutive punches, punching to the flesh. People like you who are greedy for money and don't believe in their words are redundant in this world. Finally, after a dozen punches, Arlong lost consciousness and felt no pain at all, and Jerry stopped his hands. At this time, the residents of Jacques Town had fallen into a frenzy, and it was finally over. Arlong's brutal rule was finally over. At this time, everyone burst into tears. I didn't expect that God would still care for them after all, and sent a savior-like figure. Liberated the town of Jacques, but also liberated the entire East Blue, and everyone's freedom. Nami's face was full of tears of excitement at this time. She came to Arlong and looked at Arlong who had passed out. She seemed to be still not relieved. She took out her weapon stick and kept hitting Arlong. At this time, Arlong had no response. Nami couldn't help feeling excited after hitting a few times. Her hands became slower and slower, and finally she was unable to fight. Looking at Nami who was sobbing, Jerry stretched out his hand to support her and said softly. It's all right, it's all over. Nami's emotions had collapsed at this time, and she fell on Jerry's shoulder and burst into tears. This was the first time in 7 years that she cried so loudly. She cried so happily and so at ease. After a long time, Nami seemed to be tired and sleepy, and gradually fell asleep beside Jerry's shoulder. Jerry carefully put Nami down, sat cross-legged on the ground, and let her sleep quietly. Right. It was not until Marine, who received a report from the residents, arrested Arlong, that Nami gradually woke up. Because she once joined Arlong's pirate group, Nami deliberately avoided when Marine came. Nami followed Jerry to Butch's bar. The two asked for a beer. Nami asked curiously. Who the hell are you? Jerry took a sip of beer. Hello, let me introduce myself formally. My name is Sparrow D. Jerry. I was originally from Logatown, and I came here recently after traveling around. Seeing that Jerry reported himself to his family and helped himself a lot, I'm happy Isho. My name is Nami. Jerry nodded. Then what are your plans next? Nami raised her head, recalling her hometown not far away. I want to go home and visit my family. Is it Kokoyasi village? It just so happens that I'm going to visit there too. Namiki said. How do you know my hometown is in Kokoyasi village? Jerry was caught off guard by Nami's question, which was too revealing, and hurriedly said. The one you said before, have you forgotten? Nami didn't remember whether she said it or not. At this moment, the door of the bar opened, and a man with weird hair and a marine uniform came in, and the man asked as soon as he came in. Which one is Jerry? Jerry turned his head, saw that the person was Marine, and said suspiciously. Marine. What does Marine want from me? The man was straight, very gentlemanly and cleared his throat. I'm Commodore and Commander Bryn of Marine 77th Branch. I heard you defeated Arlong, isn't it? Jerry raised his eyebrows. It's me, so what? Brindlin laughed. I think you have misunderstood. You have already heard about the Arlong pirates who have been occupying the East Blue government for a long time. This time, thanks to your assistance to Marine, the Arlong group can be completely eradicated. Since we do not want to lose any talents, there are two things here. One is to thank you for everything you have done to defeat Arlong, and the other is to ask you, are you interested in joining our Marine? This time you defeated Arlong alone, and you deserve a lot of credit. If you join Marine, maybe I can make an exception and be promoted to captain. Quote. Jerry was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Marine would come to win him over. However, the interior of Marine was uneven, and he had no plans to join Marine. Well, thank you for your kindness, but I don't have that plan yet. Bryn chuckled lightly. It's okay, you can come to me when you figure it out. Then he brought a box to a soldier behind him. This is the bounty for Arlong's capture, a total of 20 million berry, you take it. Jerry's eyes lit up, and he almost forgot that Arlong had a bounty, and he was the pirate with the highest bounty in the entire East Blue, so he accepted it immediately. Butch, the bar owner, had never seen so much money in his life, staring straight at the box in Jerry's hand. Jerry closed it alertly. What are you looking at? Tell you, the real rich is this eldest sister, but she has hidden nearly 100 million berries treasure. He pointed at Nami. As soon as she heard Jerry mention her treasure, Nami's awareness of precaution suddenly rose to a red alert. How did you know about my treasure? The cute face that was originally cute instantly turned hideous and terrifying. Jerry shuddered. You said it yourself. Chapter 7 Kokoyashi Village. Nami was still wondering why she would talk so much about herself to a stranger, but at this time she was eyeing the 20 million berry bounty in Jerry's hands. She has worked hard for 7 years to save up to 100 million, and Jerry earned 20 million just by doing anything. This is undoubtedly the biggest temptation for Nami, who cherishes gold like her life. If you can find a way to catch up with Jerry and specialize in this bounty hunter business in the future, the income in the future will definitely be very considerable. Nami leaned closer to Jerry's side. Hey, what are you going to do with the 20 million bounty? Jerry looked at the box in his hand and Nami again, thinking that Nami, a money fan, must be interested in the money in his hand. Maybe looking around next, as a tour. Nami cried. My hometown, Kokoyashi Village, has a beautiful scenery. Would you like to take a look? Jerry smiled in his heart. She must have taken a fancy to the money in my hand. Forget it, let's get on her pirate ship first. Really, I'm going to have a look then. Nami's sly isho. Why don't I come and be your tour guide, 10,000 bergs a day for the tour guide fee. Jerry scolded, robber, in his heart, but smiled along his face. It would be great to have you as a tour guide. As soon as she said it, Nami dragged Jerry out of the bar, ready to leave Jacques by boat. Kokoyashi Village is not far from Lijac, and it takes half a day to get there by boat. I don't know where Nami found a dilapidated boat. In short, she tried her best to abduct Jerry to Kokoyashi Village. As a peaceful and beautiful village, Kokoyashi Village has always been surrounded by a layer of haze over the years, especially in Nami's heart. This time Jerry brought Arlong to justice, which was a relief for Nami, and a great blessing for the entire Kokoyashi Village. Nami, who hadn't set foot on the soil of the village for several years, set foot on the land of her hometown this time. When I returned to my place, the house was empty. Nojiko may have gone out. She brought Jerry into her home, and Jerry always felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, Nami spoke before she sat down. There is no hotel in Kokoyashi Village. You can stay at my house, but the fee may be a little more expensive, 20,000 bellies a day. After he finished speaking, he blinked and deliberately sold a cuteness. Jerry slapped his thigh, and as expected, it was all a routine. Nami didn't give Jerry time to go back and took him to her room. You just sleep in my room, and I'll sleep with Nojiko. Jerry kept shouting in his heart, this woman is like a robber. But after a while, the door outside was opened, and it was Nojiko who came back. Seeing Nami and a strange man in the house, frowning slightly. "You're back, who is this man?" After Arlong was arrested, Nami's mood was exceptionally good, and she was not as heavy as before. She jumped to Nojiko's side happily. "Tell you a great happy event. Nojiko is also strange, although Nami has returned home since being taken away by Arlong, but every time she is very low, this time is completely different from before." "What a great event." Nami laughed mischievously. "You don't know it yet, Arlong has been beaten and has now been taken into custody by Marine, and we are finally free." Nojiko froze for a moment, as if he still didn't believe his ears. What did you say?" Nami repeated. "Arlong is defeated and we are free." Although he heard it with his own ears, Nojiko still couldn't believe it, but seeing Nami with such a heavy burden, what she said would definitely not be false. Suddenly, the faintness between her eyebrows, the sorrow gradually melted away. Strange to say, when Jerry saw Nojiko for the first time, he thought she was beautiful. At this time, when Lu Mei stretched out, she was also a refined beauty, and Jerry couldn't help but be fascinated. Nojiko also noticed Jerry at the same time. Seeing the look in his eyes, he was a little surprised and a little annoyed. "Hey Nami, who is that person? How did you bring a strange man into your house?" Nami pulled Nojiko into the house. "I forgot to tell you, his name is Jerry, and he is the one who defeated Arlong's pirates." Nojiko couldn't believe his ears. You say, he beat Arlong?" Nami nodded heavily. "Well, it's him. I can see it clearly from the side. He alone defeated more than a dozen people in Arlong. It's really powerful." Nojiko changed her dissatisfied attitude just now. To her, Jerry was also equivalent to their benefactor. She turned to Jerry and asked, "Is what Nami said true?" "Jerry, pat your chest. Of course it's true. Look here, the 20 million bounty has been obtained, can it still be fake?" After the double affirmation of Nami and Jerry, Nojiko finally accepted the sudden good news, and she couldn't wait to tell everyone in the village at this time. "I'm going to tell everyone in the village, I'm going to tell Ajien." She rushed out of the house and went to every villager's house to tell everyone the good news. Jerry asked curiously, "How can her reaction be bigger than yours?" Nami smiled and said, "You don't know, Nojiko really cares about her family, especially in Kokoyashi village, she treats everyone like family." But let's get down to business. Nami tricked Jerry here, just to discuss with him their plan to make a fortune. She dodged and moved to Jerry's side, and said with a weird smile, "Hey Jerry, are we good friends?" Jerry is very vigilant to guard against Nami. There is nothing to be courteous, and it is either a traitor or a thief. If you have anything to say, just say it directly, don't beat around the bush. Nami's heart was exposed, and she laughed along. "Hey, I have a big plan to make a fortune, I don't know if you are interested." "No." Jerry refused without thinking. Nami couldn't react in time. "Why did you refuse before I said what it was?" Jerry said calmly. "I'm not interested in getting rich." Nami looked up at the sky and sighed. She did everything she could, but she didn't calculate that Jerry was not greedy for money. Isn't it bad to have money? When you have money, you can buy whatever you want, and use whatever you want. Isn't this the greatest joy? Jerry gave her a contemptuous look. That's your happiness, not mine. Nami still doesn't give up. With money, we can travel to more and farther places, isn't it good? Jerry still despised him. Even if I don't have money, I can still go to more and farther places to go sightseeing. Nami. Jerry is just like a dead pig who is not afraid of boiling water. No matter how eloquent and rhetoric Nami is, he just won't be fooled. This can make Nami anxious, thinking about his own fortune plan. It's going to be so soupy. Chapter 8 Bounty Hunter. Just when Nami had nothing to do, there was a hustle and bustle outside the house. The two looked up and saw that the door had been opened. The leader was Nojiko, followed by a dozen local villagers and another. The policeman with countless scars on his face was the local policeman Ajien. He walked towards Jerry not far away. "Are you Jerry?" Jerry looked bewildered. "I'm Jerry, what's the matter?" Ajien asked carefully. "You really beat Arlong?" Jerry nodded. "It's me, what's the matter?" Ajien suddenly knelt on his knees, his emotions became agitated, and tears flowed down immediately. Thank you for saving Kokoyasi village, thank you for liberating everyone in our village from being ruled by Arlong." Along with Ajien, many villagers behind him expressed their gratitude to Jerry with excitement. Most of them fell to their knees and cried with joy. Jerry hurriedly helped Ajien up. "Uncle, what are you doing? Defeating Arlong is just a matter of the way, don't be so polite." Ajien said excitedly. "It may be just an ordinary incident for you, but for our whole village, and even those other villages under Arlong's rule, you have been a great favor to us." Jerry understands what the overthrow of Arlong's rule means to these villagers, and why they make such a big salute. It's all an explosion of Arlong's brutal rule and the joy of finally being freed. For a brutal person like Arlong, his rule is destined to not last long. If someone comes to trouble you in the future, you can come to me, and I will cover your affairs in the future. When they heard that Jerry was going to cover Kokoyasi village, all the villagers were even more delighted, which meant that they would no longer have to live with fear, nor would they have to hand over heavy coins in exchange for their lives. This is Nami suddenly joining the crowd. After brewing her emotions for a while, she became pitiful in an instant. She said with pity, "Actually you don't know, whether in East Blue or other sea areas, there are more big villains like Arlong ruling different places, all kinds of pirates with evil deeds are on the loose, and there are more people are suffering like we are." Quote. Jerry raised his eyebrows slightly. "What is Nami doing?" he muttered in his heart, not knowing what Nami was saying. At this time, Ajien on the side also sighed. "There are always more evil people and few good people in this world. There are really fewer and fewer people with kind hearts like Jerry, and there are still more people under the rule of these extremely evil pirates. Yes, as long as those pirates who harm people are not dropped for a day, there will never be peace in this world." The weather vane suddenly pointed to the evil pirates. Jerry glanced at Nami's face from the corner of his eyes and saw her sly smile. He already knew in his heart that she was going to fan the flames. Sure enough, within a short while, people in the entire village expressed their deep disgust for those evil pirates, and they didn't know who was leading the charge. Suddenly, a voice came out. "If Jerrican goes to the bounty hunter and takes the lead in arresting all those pirates, the whole world will be much cleaner, and there will be no more oppressed civilians." As soon as this voice came out, it immediately aroused the loud support of the masses. Of course Jerry knew that Nami was behind all this, and he thought about it, if according to what they said, he would really become a bounty hunter. But then again, it's not that Jerry didn't think about the past. Whether it's going to someone else's account or starting a new business, there are risks. But for this bounty hunter, relatively speaking, as long as his strength is strong enough, the risk is still relatively low, of course, except for joining Marine. Because he is quite familiar with the world, Jerry of course also understands what the trend of the world is. In the current era of the great pirates, pirates are the mainstream, but there are all kinds of birds in the forest, and those evil pirates are rampant everywhere. Naturally arouse the dissatisfaction of others and the anger of the masses. If you choose some pirates with relatively weak strength and relatively high bounties, it is also a way to survive. I am afraid that it will cause dissatisfaction and condemnation from the pirates in the future. After careful calculation, this road is also a risk. Very big. However, the residents of Kokoyasi village were strongly urged Jerry to raise the banner of bounty hunter under Nami's instigation. All these were difficult to ride. Jerry cursed twice in his heart, and then Ajien said, "Jerry, as long as you are willing to become a bounty hunter, we at Kokoyasi village will definitely help." After off fitness, many people who hated pirates got up and responded. Jerry thought, "Just rely on you little fish and shrimp, I'm afraid you will be wiped out by the East Blue. He quickly advised. I understand what everyone means, but the job of this bounty hunter is not that easy, and none of you have any experience in going to sea. This is very dangerous. If you want to do it, I will do it alone. You are here. Rest at home. When everyone heard this, wasn't this already agreed? Everyone was overjoyed. At this time, Nami suddenly stood up. They don't have experience at sea, but I do. I'm a very good navigator. Let me go with you. Jerry slapped his thigh. Oops, it's still a trick to take every precaution. Kokoyashi village were even more happy when they heard that Nami was going to join. Yes, Nami is a child with talent since she was a child. If she goes to sea with her, there will be no problem. That's right, the nautical charts that Nami drew when she was a child are really impressive. Nojiko also Vivi Isho. That's right, Nami is really talented. Jerry smiled bitterly in his heart. What do you people know? There are so many pirates in the world that are more powerful than Arlong. They are all powerful. You are just pushing Nami into the fire pit. But Nami didn't realize her danger in the slightest, and she only had those glittering bounties in her eyes. But the words have already been said, and there is no reason to swallow them back. Okay, since this is the case, then I promise you to be this bounty hunter and catch all those pirates who do evil, okay? As for Nami, I'm a beacon for you, don't underestimate my ability. Jerry shook his head. This chick is out of money, and she can't pull it up no matter what. Forget it, just let her go. With a sigh, Jerry finally agreed to Nami's request and agreed to go to sea together. Chapter 9 First Goal. Although it was Nami's routine and promised her to be the navigator, Jerry didn't plan to go out and do a vote so soon. After all, the whole East Blue pirates are the weakest in the world, and nothing matters. No need to worry so much. In Kokoyashi village for 2 days. In these 2 days, Nami was very active in arranging ships, collecting relevant intelligence and news, and always paying attention to the movements of the pirates, so that she could select suitable targets. Since Arlong is already the pirate with the highest bounty in East Blue, Nami is not so concerned about other pirates in East Blue, because their bounty is very low. If you want to get a higher bounty, then the only way to go is to go to the Great Route, where the pirates are much taller than Arlong. Those heartwarming wanted orders have made Nami infinitely fascinated, and she has imagined the feeling of sitting on a golden mountain and silver mountain. Jerry looked at Nami's appearance in Qian's eyes, and shook his head helplessly, feeling that she was helpless. Looking at those wanted orders, Nami suddenly thought of a question, turned her head quickly, and asked. Hey, look at these wanted notices, which one of them can you beat? Jerry took the wanted notice in Nami's hand and read it again. He almost didn't spit out a mouthful of old blood. This miser was all those big pirates who could easily be in the hundreds of millions, and the forces behind them were inextricably linked. It's not as simple as she thought. Suddenly, Jerry notices a man's wanted notice, and this man is, Fire Fist, Ace. Jerry remembered what happened in this world he knew, and he asked Nami. Nami, how old are you this year? Nami was dumbfounded. 17, what's up? Jerry remembered that when Luffy went to sea, Nami should be 18, which means that it was 1 year before Luffy went to sea, and Ace had been out for 2 years. In this case, the era of the great pirates will soon usher in a new era. Luffy goes to sea, 11 supernovas, and wars on the top. This series of big movements will happen in the next year. It's just that when she came here, Nami was affected, and it was impossible to join the Straw Hat Gang, which produced a butterfly effect. I don't know if these things will happen again. Nami called twice before Jerry recovered from his thoughts. Have you considered which pirate to start with first? Nami asked eagerly. Jerry sighed. Do you want to run without walking steadily? Let's consider cleaning up the other evil pirates in East Blue first. At this time, Nami found one from a pile of wanted notices. Then this person is also notorious in East Blue. He is also the largest pirate group in the entire East Blue. There are more than 5,000 people under his banner. Although the bounty is not as high as Arlong's, he is also a big bad guy. Let's start with let him do it. Jerry glanced at it. Admiral Krieg. Jerry vaguely remembered that this guy seemed to be one of the many pirates that Luffy had beaten up, and it seemed that he was in Barati, the restaurant at sea. Well, this guy is a ruthless guy, so do you know where he is now? Nami snapped her fingers and blinked her right eye mischievously. Of course I know, but there's something I need to tell you first. What's the matter? That is our cooperation. I am responsible for providing information. You are responsible for arresting people, and we will share 50% of the bounty. How about it? Jerry cursed in his heart. Being in charge of intelligence wants to take half of the bounty. This is simply a money grab. However, as a big man, Jerry naturally won't care about a woman, especially since this kind of body and appearance are all top-notch beauties, otherwise he will appear too stingy. That's fine, even if I suffer a little. Nami has already figured out the location of other high-bounty pirates in East Blue. Pirates with large fleets like Krieg can easily find out. However, due to the large number of opponents, Nami is of course a little worried. Hey Jerry, this man has a pirate group of 5,000 people, are you sure there is no problem? Jerry shook his index finger. I don't care about such a small role for the time being. Seeing Jerry's confident look, Nami also took a reassurance, and the two immediately set sail for Krieg's territory. The place where Krieg is entrenched is about 3 days away from Kokoyasi village. Nami slightly modified a boat before Arlong from Arlong Garden and turned it into her own boat, and the two set out to sea like this. On the night of the third day, both Jerry and Nami felt that the island where Krieg was located. The people on Krieg's ship are currently here, and the other fleets should be scattered around. After the two landed, Nami wondered how to catch their captain. Since they chose to land in a relatively secluded place and would not be discovered for the time being, they had enough time to plan how to act. Listening to Nami's eloquence, Jerry smiled and said, Nami, you are so active in doing things, did you like the reward of more than 10 million yuan? Nami glared at him. Stop talking nonsense and listen to my arrangements, so that nothing goes wrong. Don't forget, this is their territory. If it is discovered, it is not a joke. Our goal is to catch Krieg. Jerry reached out his hand to stop. Actually, you don't need to be so troublesome. The guards here are relatively lax. I can just go in and grab someone to take me to Krieg. Nami cried. No, what will I do if your action fails? You must ensure my safety. At this moment, Jerry heard footsteps not far away. The sound was very rapid, and it was obvious that someone was sprinting. Jerry wondered who would be in such a hurry tonight. Did they find out by themselves? Just thinking about it, the voice had come near them. In the dark night, I couldn't see who the other party was. I saw a shadow flashing over. Jerry alertly pulled Nami aside, and the shadow stopped. He came down and looked at Jerry and Nami in disbelief. Jerry felt like he had seen this face before, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Nami asked in surprise. Who are you? After the man stopped, it was clear that it was a woman with short orange hair, wearing a red beret on her head, a pair of yellow gold-rimmed goggles on the front of the hat, a tight lace shirt, a red lace skirt, and a tall tube. Stockings and high heels. Jerry's first reaction was beauty. The beauty glanced at the two of them. It wasn't him. Who are you? Are you the guy's accomplice? You chased it here. The two expressed that they did not understand, and Jerry replied. You are mistaken, we have just arrived on this island. The beauty seemed unwilling to believe it, and cried out. HMPH, if you want to catch me, you have to see your skills. After speaking, he moved his hand towards Jerry. Jerry did not expect that the other party would do it if he disagreed. Seeing that she was a beautiful woman, he asked her to do some tricks. He almost got her way. Chapter 10 Masturbation Man. Just when Jerry was about to fight back, the orange-haired girl suddenly turned around and jumped out. When Jerry reached out, he only touched her hat, and when he clicked the red hat, the girl disappeared. Trace. What a slap in the face. It turned out to be pretending to do something, and taking advantage of the opportunity to escape. Nami cried. Do you want to go after it? Jerry waved his hand. Forget it, I guess she's not Krieg's person either. We still need to do serious business first. Nami then remembered that the 17 million bellies were waiting for her. That's right, it's important that we arrest people first. Jerry picked up the red hat in the past and felt that he had seen it somewhere, but Nami took the hat and put it on her head. Do you think I look good in this hat? The girl and Nami both had orange hair, and the red hat really added a bit of beauty. Jerry was silent, nodded and headed towards the island. Krieg is very conceited and vicious. He has set up a very tight defense around the island. Jerry and Nami found a big house all the way to confirm that Krieg is there. But the trouble is that there are so many people nearby, and it is easy to expose herself. Nami looked at Jerry. Do you have any good way to get to people? Jerry shrugged. What else can be done? Just shout. Huh. Nami also realized what it meant, and saw Jerry running out, shouting directly at the door of the night. Krieg's presence, tell him to come out and meet me. Nami looked at Jerry in disbelief. How could anyone find someone like this? Wouldn't that reveal herself? As soon as Jerry appeared, he attracted a lot of people, and they all came over. Seeing that it was a young guy, but he didn't know that the sky was high and he came here to shout, and all of them laughed. Hey kid, do you know what this place is, and you dare to yell at the door? Jerry can't be bothered to look at these people. I'm here for Krieg. One of them laughed. Little devil, do you know what will happen to you when our boss comes out to see you? Jerry sneered. What happened? Of course. Who was yelling outside? Before Jerry could finish speaking, he was interrupted, and saw a big man with light purple hair and armor all walk out. Jerry glanced at it. Are you Krieg? Krieg, known as the Admiral. He glanced at Jerry, not like his crew. Little devil, who are you? Confirming that his opponent was Krieg, Jerry took a look, expressionless. If so, then come with me. Krieg was called out in the middle of the night, and he didn't even know it happened. Jerry suddenly said this, and he was even more overwhelmed. Little devil, what are you talking about? Where are you going? Jerry said. Come with me to the Marine branch. Don't you have a bounty of 17 million, then go and exchange the bounty. Krieg was stunned, not sure if he heard it wrong or if Jerry said it wrong. What did you say? Jerry glanced at it and said. Follow me, take you to Marine, you can get a big bounty. Krieg finally heard what Jerry was saying this time, and immediately laughed. Little devil, did you take the wrong medicine? Ha ha ha, do you know what you are talking about? Jerry gave Krieg a scornful look. Of course I know what I'm talking about. Don't struggle. It's useless to struggle. Just follow me and save yourself some pain. At this time, everyone present burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, this kid must have taken the wrong medicine and came here. Yes, this guy must be out of his mind. Krieg laughed too. Little devil, are you a bounty hunter? Jerry shook his head. Forget it, but you have done a lot of bad things. Even if you are not a bounty hunter, sending you to Marine to lock you up is to kill the people. Krieg was short-tempered. Hearing Jerry's words, he immediately became unhappy and raised his voice. You little bastard really doesn't know how to live or die. At this time, a man in a gown and holding a pair of kidnappers walked out from the crowd. The kid doesn't know how to live or die. He waved his kidnapper and rushed towards Jerry. This person is Jin, the captain of the Krieg pirates, nicknamed Man-Demon. He is good at using a pair of iron crutches. He is ruthless and very loyal to Krieg. This will see that Jerry is very disrespectful to Krieg. He will go ahead and prepare a lesson. Jerry. How do you know that Jerry is very agile? Jin threw several times in a row without touching the corner of Jerry's clothes. When Jin's mood became anxious, another person behind him who was wrapped in an iron shield also threw himself. Come up, This person is Baru, the captain of the second team of the Krieg pirates. He saw that Jin couldn't take advantage of Jerry at all, so he simply attacked together. These two are Krieg's two major forces, but they can't help Jerry together. Jerry didn't pay attention to these two people at all. At first, he just avoided a few times at will, but after the road came, Jerry was a little unhappy. When they come out to fight, they will fight one-on-one first and then fight in groups. When these two people come up and see that the situation is not right, they fight in groups. Jerry dodged Jin's slap, his eyes suddenly changed, and he suddenly pulled out a punch, directly hitting Jin more than 10 meters away. He couldn't see enough in his eyes at all. He smashed Baru's shield into shreds with one punch, and directly hit Jin's side, unable to get up for a long time. The corners of Krieg's eyes twitched more than cramps. He didn't expect his two capable men to be so vulnerable that he was almost killed by Jerry. Seeing that the two of them had been pulled together so miserably, the other younger brothers slashed at Jerry with their weapons. But never thought that a hurricane blew from somewhere, and swept them all into the sky, screaming and screaming for a while. Krieg saw a group of subordinates being beaten up and down in an instant, but he didn't expect this kid in front of him to be very capable. Krieg has always been irritable and explosive, but this time he was even more angry. When he was about to attack, suddenly there was a gust of wind from behind him, and a black figure came out from behind. Krieg thought it was some subordinate who jumped out again, so he stopped his stance and looked around, and saw a young man in a dress and a high hat standing out, holding a weapon like a water pipe in his hand. It looks kind of funny. Jerry fixed his eyes on the past, and the first thing he noticed was the water pipe in his hand. Where is this masturbation man? It looks familiar. Chapter 11 True Strength. Jerry stared at the man for a long time, and suddenly remembered, isn't this Luffy's sworn brother Sabo? No wonder it looks familiar, but why did he suddenly come here? Sabo stared at Nami for a few times. He had already noticed the hat on her head from the side, and pointed to Nami not far away and asked, "Hey, what did you do to Koala?" Nami said she didn't understand. Koala. Who is Koala? Jerry then remembered the orange-haired girl they met when they landed on the island just now. Isn't that Sabo's childhood sweetheart girl? What are these guys doing here? At this time, another tall man came out from behind Sabo. This one was very eye-catching. Jerry recognized this guy at a glance as the fishman karate master Haku who often appeared with Sabo and Koala group. Seeing Nami putting on Koala's beloved hat, Sabo thought something happened to Koala. Hey, stop pretending, tell me where Koala is. Nami didn't even know who Koala was, and Jerry replied, "We don't know where she went either." Sabo pointed to the hat on Nami's head. Nonsense, why does she have a koala hat on her head? Tell me honestly, what do you think of Koala? Jerry looked helpless. We really didn't do anything to him. She ran away by herself, and we don't know. Sabo and Koala have been childhood sweethearts since childhood, and the two have a close relationship. This time, when they came out to perform a mission, it was because Sabo was disobedient and almost went wrong. Finally, they separated from Koala. When they came here, they only saw a hat. How can I tell Sabo not to be in a hurry? Nami is a girl, of course Sabo doesn't have the same knowledge as her. But Jerry is different. The strength that Jerry showed when he and the people just started is definitely not simple. As the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, Jerry's strength Sabo couldn't see through at a glance, so he was even more suspicious of Jerry's strength, and at this moment he shouted at Sabo. I ask you, what did you do to Koala? Jerry shook his head and said. Why don't you believe me at all? I said I don't know. Jerry has already felt that Sabo is hiding. With Koala's skills, East Blue can't find a match, but Jerry is different. Sabo thinks that the hat on Nami's head is Jerry took from Koala. Hearing Jerry's denial, he was in a moment of anger and hit Jerry with the hose. Hey, I said how unreasonable you are. I said I don't know. Sabo Kane said. When I beat you, you'll know. Speaking of the water pipe swept over, Jerry saw the peak of Sabo's attacking power and moves. He didn't dare to underestimate it, and he retreated and parried, but Sabo's attack speed was getting faster and stronger, and his strength was getting stronger and stronger, so he didn't give it at all. Jerry's respite. Jerry frowned. This guy really wants to come with me. Immediately, he became serious, and a ray of light shot out from his pupils. Shave. Jerry immediately disappeared from everyone's eyes, and Nami was puzzled. After a second, Jerry reappeared from Sabo's left side. Nami had never seen such a speed before, and was already stunned. Sabo sneered. Surely a great character. No wonder Koala fell into your hands. Immediately pouring force into his left arm, his left hand instantly turned into a sharp claw, vigorous and powerful, and slaughtered at Jerry. Jerry was shocked. This is Sabo's Dragon Fist, which is extremely powerful. Jerry immediately puffed up a puff of air, which spread around his body and on his arms. Sabo grabbed it with a claw, and Jerry stretched out his right hand to resist, only to feel his arm numb from the shock of a huge force, and even his body was numb. Involuntarily vibrated. As expected of the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, he is very powerful. Jerry came out of the unknown island and it was the first time he met such a strong person. He suddenly stimulated the fighting spirit in his body and laughed wildly. What a powerful claw attack, look at my land finger. With a wave of his left index finger, a powerful vacuum slash shot towards Sabo. Sabo's eyes were horrified. This vacuum slash was high-speed and sharp. Ordinarily, if it was hit, a large blood opening would be drawn, and his body would be sideways. To avoid this trick in the past. What a weird guy. This move comes from combining Renkyaku, Tempest Kick and Shigen, Finger Pistol, from Rokushiki. The corners of Jerry's mouth rose. With a good eye, you can find the root of the move by looking at it. Without waiting for Sabo to breathe, Jerry's hands swayed extremely fast, and the continuous slashes from both hands flew towards Sabo like invisible blades. Sabo immediately took out the water pipe behind his back, and his hands shook extremely quickly. The slashes collided with the water pipe, making a dang 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 metal crash. Nami had never seen such a way of fighting before. At this time, the pupils of her eyes were frozen. Compared to Nami, Jerry's strength shocked Haku much more. As a soldier of the Revolutionary Army, he has seen many young masters all over the world over the years. In his eyes, Sabo can almost be said to be the most outstanding leader among the younger generation, but at this time, the nationality standing in front of him as the nameless young man's strength is not inferior to Sabo at all. Arashi Finger is a combination of Renkyaku, Tempest Kick and Shigen, Finger Pistol into one move, which not only has the lethality of Shigen, Finger Pistol, but also the high-speed slash of Renkyaku, Tempest Kick. Used in conjunction with shaving, the power is terrifying. However, as the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, Sabo's strength progress in the past few years is also amazing. Seeing Jerry's rush to attack the sky, he immediately condensed on the hockey and water pipes on his body, and the slashes from the flying shots were all blocked by the water pipes. Falling down, Jerry's series of attacks were all to no avail. Jerry saw that Sabo easily resolved his move, and his heart was calm. He knew what kind of strength the opponent was. This kind of attack might not be useful to him. He immediately changed his move and wanted to use the powerful power given by his fruit. Give Sabo a hard blow. Shave. Jerry disappeared in front of people's eyes since then, and the figure flashed to Sabo's side. His right hand was raised high, and his tightly clenched fist slammed down on Sabo. This punch was so weird and fast that Sabo didn't have time to react. When he saw Jerry's fist, it was too late to dodge, so he quickly raised his hands to block. Bang! This fist hit Sabo's arm firmly, with huge force, accompanied by a strong impact. Yes, Sabo's hands trembled and he was very paralyzed. Is this your true strength? Sabo whispered in his heart, Jerry's strength far beyond his imagination. Chapter 12. Be surprised. Jerry's unexpected strength made Sabo very uncomfortable. He thought that there would be no powerful characters in the whole East Blue, but he had hidden such a character. At the beginning, Sabo was careless. And now Jerry has the advantage. Sabo was suppressed by Jerry because he underestimated the enemy, but Sabo's strength is indeed tough enough. Even Jerry thought he could only be beaten like this. How do you know that? While Jerry at the time of the attack, Sabo suddenly freed up a hand and hooked his back hand behind him. Dragon Claw. Jerry clearly felt a wave of haki aroused from Sabo's body. Although Sabo's haki was not skilled enough at this time, the Dragon Claw fist that Sabo has learned can be said to be the pinnacle of claw skills in the fighting technique. Used with haki, the power is unparalleled. I don't know how many times this Dragon Claw fist move has gone through many trials and tribulations to get to today's perfection. Sabo hooked it with a claw. Jerry didn't dare to use his body to force it. His arm deflected, and passed by Sabo's side. With this move alone, Sabo immediately reversed the trend. The rhythm of the Dragon Claw fist was getting faster and faster, and he kept rushing towards Jerry. Jerry was shocked. He didn't expect Sabo to have such strength at this time. He really underestimated him. At this moment, Sabo flew up and used a basic move of Dragon Claw fist to hold Jerry. At his arm, Jerry was paralyzed. Suddenly, a powerful force came from his arm. Jerry frowned slightly, shouted loudly, and stomped the ground with his right foot. From the waist, and finally through the shoulder to the arm, Sabo was shocked. He didn't expect Jerry to have such a powerful force just by stomping his feet. Sabo took 2 steps back, stared at Jerry, and asked, "Who are you to have such strength?" Sabo is not a bad person. Jerry knows in his heart that the two people's hands are only caused by a misunderstanding, so he said, "Sparrow D. Jerry." Sabo said a few words. He did not remember that East Blue had such a number 1 person, but the two were of the same age, and they already felt a little sympathetic to this point. Sabo is proud of Isho, and said, "I've never faced such a strong opponent in East Blue. Come on, let's try again." Jerry mouthed Isho, "Okay, come on." Immediately, he stepped out with his left foot, rushed up with a lunge, an afterimage floated past, and had already attacked Sabo's face. Sabo soared into the air and shouted, "Dragon's Breath." Just above Jerry's head, his hands approached Jerry's body at close range, as if he was about to launch some violent move. Jerry clearly felt that Sabo's aura was different, aggravating haki's entanglement. Jerry increased his vigilance, concentrated haki in his body to the maximum extent near Sabo's hands, raised his hands high. Bang! Boom! The two sides exerted powerful strength, and under the violent impact, a wave of air spread out from the center, and even the air was about to collapse. At that time, Krieg, who had been watching for a long time, saw that the two were fighting back and forth. He had realized that Sabo was not his subordinate, and suddenly shouted, "Hey, what are you two kiddos thinking of me here? Are you fighting in the ring? This is my Krieg's territory." The two were fighting fiercely, but they never wanted to be suddenly disturbed by Krieg, and they were very upset, but Krieg liked to kill, and it was not an ordinary one. At this time, when Jerry and Sabo were fighting, Sabo's dragon breath met Jerry's haki. It was when the fighting spirit was at its strongest. He just walked to the side of the two, and suddenly the light hidden in the big battle in the body armor. This is the strongest weapon he hides in the shield. He saw Sabo and Jerry fighting fiercely, and he thought that he would suddenly go in when both of them couldn't open their hands. The two beat together. Sabo and Jerry had seen through Krieg's thoughts long ago. Seeing him sneaking in so despicably, both of them were extremely angry. Seeing that the big gun was about to hit them, Gia and Jerry shouted in unison, "Drink up! Go away!" The two of them each freed up one hand and one foot. Jerry kicked the thick-going armor on his body to smash with one foot, and Sabo also changed the inch of the dragon's breath to the battle in his hands. Gun attacked. Boom! Kerala! Was a cracking sound and a scream, and Krieg, along with the fragments of the armor that shattered into powder, flew dozens of meters away like a kite with a broken string, and could no longer get up. Nami was worried that Jerry was only focused on fighting people and forgot what he was here for. How could she know that this Krieg ended up in this way? it was beyond her expectations, but no matter what way it was, anyway the bounty of 17 million berries is appropriate. At this time, Nami felt that the money was too good to be earned, and she easily earned a large amount of bounty. Feelings in the ocean of money. After the two easily took care of Krieg, they returned to their duel again. They both felt that the other party's strength was very strong, and they all threw themselves into the battle. Sabo's dragon fist has been exerted to the extreme, and then used with Haki, making Jerry's parry again and again. All of a sudden, Sabo took out the water pipe behind him, wrapped a Haki around it, and the left-hand dragon hook first reached out and grabbed Jerry's chest. Jerry was shocked. This was an obvious trap. If he dodged by himself, the water pipe on his right hand would be slashed at the head, and he would definitely be hit with a stick if he had insufficient energy. If you don't dodge back, you will have to eat the pain of flesh and blood if you grab it with the hook. The corner of Jerry's mouth smiled secretly. He didn't back down or let it go. When Sabo was about to grab his chest with his left hand, he suddenly shouted. Sabo felt a powerful cyclone gushing out from Jerry's body. A huge shadow rose from behind him. Without thinking too much, the water pipe in the right hand smashed out at the same time, and smashed it towards the top of Jerry's head according to the original plan. Unexpectedly, the huge black shadow suddenly jumped up, and the water pipe was like hitting the steel, and it issued a dang-dang, the sound of. Sabo's palm was numb due to the huge vibration. With the huge rebound force, Sabo jumped back far away. With Gecko, Sabo clearly saw Jerry waving two huge white wings behind him, and he was there for a while. Everyone was dumbfounded. This sacred and solemn pair of white wings made everyone fascinated, especially under Gecko, which made it even more mysterious. Sabo exclaimed. What is this, the capable one? At this time, Haku's eyes were round and round. For fear of missing the slightest opportunity, he said in a trembling voice. This is an angel. Angel. Everyone present couldn't believe it when they saw this scene. Sabo originally thought he was someone with the ability of a bird, but immediately saw that the rest of Jerry's body had not changed, not showing the shape of a beast or a half-beast. The appearance of the shape, it is not an ordinary zone, until Haku blurted out. Sabo realized that this is really an angel. Chapter 13 Revolutionary Army. The legends about angels have a long history, but no one has ever seen them. There are thousands of devil fruits in the world, but there is one fruit that has always been in the legend, and is rarely mentioned in the devil fruit illustrations that record the power of the devil fruit, that is the zone mythical angel fruit. It was the first time that Sabo heard about an angel, and it was the first time he saw an angel. He never thought that there are people with this special fruit ability in this world. And Haku's ability to recognize the face of an angel at first sight also comes from an ancient legend of the mermaid. This legend has been passed down by word of mouth in the mermaid. The legend describes a savior with wings behind him who once saved the world. He surpassed the mermaid, and the mermaid thought he was the messenger sent by God to save Fish Man Island. So the name of the angel spread among the mermaid, and it has been passed from the mermaid to the ears of human beings. It is said that the ability of the angel is beyond the imagination of ordinary people, and this ability is enough to change the whole world. Because of the worship and legend of the angels of the Fishman tribe, Haku involuntarily knelt down on his knees and kept muttering. Angel, angel. Sabo doesn't understand the meaning of angels to the mermaid, and Nami rarely sees capable people. What she saw this time is actually an extraordinary angel fruit. I really don't know if it is the greatest blessing in her life. At the same time, a figure flashed from behind Nami, and she also exclaimed, wow. Sabo was attracted by the voice, and when he looked at it, he found that it was the koala he had been looking for. So you're here, are you all right? While exclaiming the angel's white and unclean wings, Koala responded to Sabo. I'm fine. Jerry showed his true face in a hurry, not his original intention. Seeing that Sabo was no longer attacking, he closed his wings and returned to his normal human form. Seeing that Koala had appeared, Jerry came to Sabo. Beside. How is it, do you still think it has something to do with me? Sabo felt embarrassed for his recklessness, touched his head, and said with a smile. This is indeed my impulse, sorry. Seeing that Sabo was so reckless, Koala stretched out his hand to squeeze his face and pulled his face the elder. You are always so unreliable in your work. If you didn't get my chart this time, how would you explain it to the commander when you go back? Sabo smiled and said. Have you got the chart? Koala put his hands on his back and said in a bad breath. Of course, otherwise can I count on you? I know how to fight with people. Koala came to Jerry and Nami and said to Nami. Sister, can you give me back my hat? Nami only remembered that she was wearing someone's hat at this time, apologized, took off the hat and returned it to Koala. Koala turned to Jerry again and apologized, and Jerry yelled. It's okay, we don't even know each other. Seeing that Jerry didn't mind, Sabo hurriedly asked Koala for a message. That's right, look, didn't I think they did something to you before I started it? Koala rolled his eyes at him. Forget it, for my sake, I'll spare you this time. When Jerry returned to normal, Haku, who was kneeling on the ground, finally got up. He came to Jerry's side and exclaimed. Are you really an angel? Jerry nodded. Yes, it's an angel fruit. Haku exhaled. It turns out that the legendary angel is actually an angel fruit, which is really surprising. Sabo and Koala had already noticed Haku's unusual reaction. Haku, why did you kneel just now? Haku spread the legend that this angel saved the Fishman clan on Mermaid Island. For them, angels exist like gods and are very respected. Haku formally introduced himself to Jerry again. Mr. Jerry, my name is Haku, and now I'm a soldier of the Revolutionary Army. You can call me Hakuden Haku. Regarding Jerry, Haku has always maintained a very cautious attitude. Although the legendary angel is not Jerry himself, the person who inherits the power of the angel is the object of gratitude to the mermaid. Sabo was also very interested in the ability of the fruit of the angel, so a group of people directly occupied Krieg's lair and simply held a dinner party. Sabo admires Jerry's strength very much. Jerry, I almost used all my strength when I fought with you just now, and I feel like you haven't used your power yet. Jerry chuckled lightly. Actually, I was forced to be helpless just now, so I showed my ability, otherwise I really might not be your opponent. The two admired each other, and they felt a little bit of sympathy for each other. Taking advantage of this gap, Sabo, Koala and Haku greeted each other with Jerry and Nami, which brought a lot closer. Jerry is also familiar with them, and his attitude is also very friendly, when Sabo suddenly asked. Jerry, you are so powerful, have you ever thought about what you will do in the future? Jerry glanced at Sabo. What do you mean? Sabo laughed. I mean you are so powerful, people should know you and see how powerful you are, so that more pirates will be afraid of you and dare not do bad things. Nami also made up a knife at this time. That's right, Jerry, if you let everyone know that you are so good, maybe those people will come to the door and let us collect the bounty. Jerry spat. You know money, it's a money junkie. He turned to Sabo and said. I think it's good now. It's good to be a bounty hunter, and it's good to be able to save some people. Sabo suddenly looked very serious, and said with a serious face. Jerry, would you like to consider joining the Revolutionary Army, how about that? Jerry was surprised. Join the Revolutionary Army? Yes, join the Revolutionary Army. The purpose of our Revolutionary Army is to overthrow the unequal rule of the world government. The current government is too corrupt, hiding too much darkness, and the world is full of dissatisfaction and complaints. If you join the revolution when we come to the army, our great cause will definitely be successful, and the world will be a complete pure land at that time. How noble and pure is this? Quote. Without waiting for Jerry to answer, Sabo began to explain to Jerry the idea and ultimate vision of the Revolutionary Army. Jerry ate the angel fruit at this time, and the angel, as the messenger from heaven to the world, his inner vision is to see a peaceful scene everywhere. This kind of thought hidden in the fruit has affected Jerry's thinking intentionally or unintentionally. Sabo's elaboration and Koala and Haku's descriptions are very compatible with Jerry's thoughts, and Jerry also expresses his admiration for their noble sentiments. However, the current strength of the Revolutionary Army is at its peak. The so-called extremes will reverse, and the tree will attract wind. There will be countless things that will be encountered in the future. According to Jerry's current plan, he has no intention of joining the Revolutionary Army. But Jerry showed great interest in reaching a partnership with the Revolutionary Army. In his words, "You can't expose yourself too early, you need another identity to cover yourself." Chapter 14 News that shocked the world. Since the Sabo trio had important tasks on their hands, the three of them left East Blue by boat the next morning, while Jerry and Nami pressed Krieg to the nearby marine branch to exchange the bounty. A full 17 million berries. Nami was excited for a long time again. Back at Kokoyasi village, Nami doubled the rent and called Jerry to robbery. On the other hand, Nami also pointed the finger at other local pirates in East Blue, from the highest Arlong of 20 million to Krieg of 17 million, and the next East Blue bounty is the clown buggy now. This guy has been circling in Orange Town recently, and the bounty is also 15 million berries, which is also a considerable amount. Nami started planning when to go to Orange Town with Jerry. But before going to sea, there was a big news, which made Jerry have to put this idea on hold for the time being. Just last night when he started with Sabo, Jerry inadvertently showed Model, Angel. In addition to Sabo's trio, there are also pirates under the original Krieg. Seeing that their boss was arrested, these people were all angry and wanted to take revenge on Jerry, but they didn't know the details of Jerry, so they had to report what they saw to the media. It's fine if one person says it, but 10 or 8 people all claim that they have seen an angel, and it's not that simple. In the following days, a lot of news has been confirmed, and the fact that the angel exists has been proved. Various newspapers and media rushed to publish reports, and soon the news spread all over the world. Angel was born, the world was shocked. Those bigwigs behind the major forces have felt that the angels are enough to change the entire world pattern. Now quietly appearing in East Blue, it seems that the whole world will set off a storm. The turbulent waves are about to strike. Even if Jerry is still in this small village, the news alone is already shaking the current situation of the world. Back at Kokoyasi village, Jerry read all kinds of news about the reappearance of angels in the newspapers, and he vaguely felt that things had become more difficult. Nami here has arranged everything and is about to set off for Orange Town, but before going to sea, Jerry begins to change his mind. "Nami, have you read the news this time? Are you talking about the news about the angels? See, what's the matter? I feel like I need to take a break from the limelight for a while." Nami has a question mark on her face. "Stay out of the limelight? Why? You're a bounty hunter, not a pirate. Why are you avoiding the limelight?" Jerry shook his head. "It's not as simple as you think. Don't you see that many newspapers use large pages to publish legends about angels? These are just media speculation, but for some people who have important information about the world, this is a remarkable thing." Quote. Nami didn't understand what Jerry was talking about, and kept in the fog. "Hey, did I say you want to go back on it?" Jerry said helplessly. "Eldest sister, it's not that I want to go back. This time I exposed my whereabouts. I don't know what trouble I will cause in the future. For you and the whole village, I decided to leave here." Nami is hugging Jerry's thick legs now. How can she let him go? "What, are you leaving? Why?" "I said it, for your own good." As soon as Jerry left, Nami lost a cash cow. How could she be willing? "No, if we want to go we have to go together, we are partners." After he finished speaking, he didn't forget to wink at Jerry in a cute way. "I think you were reluctant to give up those bounties," Jerry thought to himself. Treasure was almost written on Nami's face, and Jerry could see through her with his eyes closed. "I plan to go back to Logatown in 2 days and stay there for a while to see what the situation is in the future and then decide what to do next." Logatown, the birthplace of One Piece King of Pirates Roger. "Yes, I was originally from Logatown, of course I have to go back. In fact, Jerry has no relatives or friends in Logatown. His parents were killed by pirates in his early years, and he was thrown into an orphanage by the government. Later, he was abducted to the restaurant to do errands. It was not until the arrival of Ruijia that he changed that at that time. Situation. Nami will definitely not let Jerry run away, she will follow him even if she dies. Then let's go to Logatown, how about that? Whatever you want. In fact, Jerry doesn't need to wait for 2 more days. If he wants to go back to Logatown, he can just fly back. He just wants to see some follow-up reports and some reactions from other forces in the past 2 days. Of course, the most important thing is to look at himself. Has his identity been revealed? If there is no, that is the best. If there is, when the time comes to leave Kokoyashi village with a high profile, it will not affect the people here. Ketch Buggy has been put on hold for the time being, and Nami is also considering the next itinerary. Logatown and Orangetown are completely opposite roads. The next job Nami has to do is to take the road from Kokoyashi village to Logatown. The high bounty pirates of all have made a statistic. By the way, they will catch a few to collect the bounty. The sum should be no less than that of Buggy. The night before his departure, Jerry came to the shore to spread the word. Seeing that he was about to leave this small village, he was somewhat reluctant. He took a last look at this place along the coast and was nostalgic. After walking for more than an hour, it was getting late, and Jerry was also ready to go back. However, when he saw that a ship seemed to be approaching at the junction of sea and sky, Jerry was puzzled. This ship looked unusual, like what these little pirates in East Blue have. When the ship reached the sea, Jerry keenly discovered that it was a pirate ship. What kind of big pirate will come to this village? When the ship sailed a little closer, Jerry saw the pirate flag clearly. The Sun Pirates. The pirate flag is printed with a bright red sun. Isn't that the Fishman Pirates? Could it be that the ship is? Jerry couldn't wait for the boat to dock. He looked up and saw a fishman wearing a patterned bathrobe and clogs on the bow of the boat. He was covered in blue whale shark fishman. I'm going, isn't this Jinbei, one of Shichibukai's sea knights? How did he come? Needless to say, this guy must have come for himself. Suddenly he remembered that he met 3 Sabo when he was arresting Krieg that day. Their master Haku was a fishman. I heard that he and Jinbei were friends. It was because of Haku that Jinbei came here. I just don't know why the famous Shichibukai came from the New World to this small village in East Blue. Chapter 15 Invite. Looking at the approaching ship, Jerry also noticed that Haku also came with Jinbei this time. After the ship docked in the sea, Jinbei and Haku jumped into the water and swam straight towards the shore. The two did not expect that Jerry was waiting on the shore at this time, saving them the trouble of going to the village to find it. When they all landed, Haku greeted Jerry not far away, and Jinbei couldn't hide his excitement, and came to Jerry's side eagerly. Jinbei pointed at Jerry and looked at Haku. You mean, is he? Haku nodded. That's right, Jinbei, it's him, the legendary angel of our fishman family, who really appeared. Jinbei looked at Jerry in disbelief. At this time, Haku stepped forward and introduced Jerry. Jerry, let me introduce to you, this is the captain of my fish-man pirate group, Seaman Jinbei. Jerry pretended to be surprised. It turns out that you are Jinbei, one of the king's Shichibukai's sea knights. Jinbei waved his hand. Haisha is just a compliment from everyone, you can just call me Jinbei. I didn't believe it when I heard Haku say that angels reappeared in the world, but after seeing you just now, I found something different about you. Temperament, are you really an angel fruit person? Jerry scolded Haku for his big mouth and ran out of anything, but he still politely said to Jinbei. Yes, but I don't understand why you fishmen are so keen on this fruit ability. Hearing Jerry's own confession, Jinbei got a little excited and hurriedly said. Brother Jerry, I wonder if you can show me your abilities to the old man. Seeing that there was no one around, Jinbei came to East Blue again after thousands of miles. In order not to disappoint him in return, Jerry had to call out his wings. The moment when his flawless wings spread, it was like a white light falling from the sky. Vivi's body was glowing with white light, full of auspiciousness. Pulang, pummel. Jerry flapped his wings twice, a hurricane blew in front of Jinbei, and Jerry rose into the air, overlooking everything under his feet. Jinbei looked up, with joy and excitement in his eyes. It really is an angel who has returned to the world. Jerry suddenly folded his wings. Seeing the intoxicated expressions of Jinbei and Haku, Jerry was very puzzled and immediately asked. Uncle Haku, I want to ask you something. What's the matter? Just ask. Why do you fishmons worship angels so much? The others who saw me transformed that day were a little surprised, but nothing like you. Then Jinbei said. The reason why the fishman people worship angels so much comes from a legend that has been circulating on Mermaid Island. As soon as Jerry heard the legend, he was very curious. Legend? What legend? As soon as this legend was mentioned, Jinbei's expression became a lot more solemn. It is said that in the blank 800 years ago, the fishman family almost suffered a genocide. At that time, a man with a pair of white wings on his back saved the entire fishman family. Later there is a human named Joey Boy who claims to be called by an angel. He made an agreement with the mermaid princess at that time to move all the residents of Fishman Island to the ground, so that the fishman family and other human beings can bathe in the same place. Under the sun. Unfortunately, Joey Boy couldn't fulfill his promise for some unknown reason, and the angel disappeared without a trace at that time. Because of this, Joey Boy stayed in the forest of the sea on Fishman Island. Ashamed that he could not redeem his oath, he wrote to the mermaid princess at the time that the angel had said that an angel like her would reappear in the world in the future and guide the Fishman family. Joey Boy also said in the historical text that someone will appear and replace him one day. This legend passed down in the Fishman family has been handed down forever. Unexpectedly, the angel has appeared so soon. Then the one who replaced Joey Boy's people must appear soon. Jerry listened to Jinbei's remarks. He didn't expect the Fishman family to have such a hidden history, which he didn't even know about himself. He always thought that the only person who replaced Joey Boy was Luffy. He couldn't think of all this. There is actually another person behind it, and this person is very likely to be himself. Jinbei continued. Last time, Haku informed me immediately after seeing you. I thought this matter was no trivial matter, so I came to East Blue in person. I didn't expect it. It really made me meet an angel. Jerry instantly felt that it was not so simple on his shoulders. He didn't expect that he would be involved with the Fishman clan of Fishman Island so soon. It's all just a legend. You don't have to be so nervous, Uncle Jinbei. Jinbei shook his head. It's because the legend has become a reality that you need to be nervous. Have you read the newspapers in the past few days? The news of the angel's reappearance has spread all over the world, and those who control the various forces in the world have begun to move. But you must know that according to the information currently available to human beings, angels have the power to change the pattern of the world. With such an existence, how can those people with ulterior motives fail to act? So this time I am here, there is one more thing. Please. Jerry asked. What's the matter? Jinbei said. I thought a lot about this on the way here. Although I know you will definitely refuse, but for the future of the Fishman family, I decided to come and ask in person. Jerry frowned slightly. What do you want to ask? Jinbei stretched out his hand, palm up, with a serious expression and a sincere look at Jerry. I want to invite you to the Fishman Pirates. What? Jerry never dreamed that Jinbei would actually invite him to the Fishman Pirates. Jinbei continued. If you are willing to come to the Fishman Pirates, I will pass on the title of captain and the title of Shichibukai under the king to you. I'm going, are you crazy? Jinbei's speech was astonishing and completely exceeded Jerry's expectations. Jinbei's expression remained unchanged, and he said. The reappearance of the angel will definitely be scrambled by various forces. Fishman Island is weak. If it hadn't been for Whitebeard to designate Fishman Island as his own territory, Fishman Island still doesn't know what the situation will be. You will be the captain of the Fishman Pirates, and then be awarded the title of Shichibukai. With the deterrence and power of angels, I believe that you will emerge from the major forces. If you can really bring Fishman Island to the island in the future above the ground, what is this trivial thing I do? Hearing Jinbei's elaboration, Jerry felt even more respect for Jinbei in his heart, and what he did was truly worthy of the word, Sha. Everything he did was for the entire Fishman clan. Jerry thought that in this world, the disgust and discrimination suffered by the Fishman clan could not be changed by himself. He did so completely. I just feel that Jerry can bear this burden, and Jerry will definitely be able to have that kind of deterrence in the future. Chapter 16 Impossible Ship. Jinbei was so speechless that he threw a series of bombs on Jerry. Uncle Jinbei, we only met for the first time today, so you just invited me to board the ship and made me the captain. Is it a bit too sudden? After agreeing to your invitation, will the crew on your ship be convinced by a kid with almost zero qualifications and fame? Besides, the status of Shichibukai is granted by the government, and your appointment as Shichibukai is believed to be largely because you are the Fishman clan of Fishman Island. Isn't your acceptance of Shichibukai's call for the racial rights of the Fishman clan? If you give it to me, wouldn't it be equivalent to giving up this right? Quote. Jinbei nodded and didn't force it anymore. I have guessed what you said. You are right, and I know you will refuse, but this idea of mine will always be open to you. If you change your mind in the future, you can come to me at any time. Quote. As he spoke, he took out a phone bug from his arms. If you need it in the future, you can also contact me. Jerry ended up with a phone bug. Okay, with your words, in the future, whether it's the Fishman Pirates or Fishman Island, I'll be there for you wherever you need my help. Jinbei finally comforted her heart and said with a smile. Okay, I heard Haku say that you are a straightforward person, and it looks good now. By the way, your identity has been exposed now. Are you still staying here? No, I'm going to leave Kokoyashi village tomorrow and go to Logatown first. I'll talk about the rest later. Maybe we'll meet somewhere in the Great Waterway. Jinbei nodded. Well, coming here today will make me feel more at ease, so you have to be careful along the way. After a short stay, Jinbei and Haku left Kokoyashi village. Before leaving, Haku also left a phone bug for Jerry. It's for you from Sabo, who says he'll have another fight with you one day. Jerry chuckled and took the phone bug. Well, I'm waiting for that day. Fishman Pirates who are gradually moving away, Jerry can't help but sigh. I didn't expect that living in seclusion in this small village would not make you worry. It seems that I have really eaten and watched an incredible fruit. I don't know how many undercurrents will come to me in the future. After returning, Jerry didn't sleep all night. It has been 2 years since he came to this world. He has never been sure what he wants. When he chose Wooming Island to cultivate, he just wanted to strengthen himself and allow himself to survive in this world. Go down. Now that his strength has risen, his life is no longer worrying, and he can be regarded as carefree. However, when I went to Arrest Creek this time, I didn't expect that after showing my ability, it would cause such a big uproar. Even if I didn't reveal my true strength this time, if I continued to be a bounty hunter in the future, I would face more and more opponents. The more powerful, the ability will be known sooner or later, so it seems that this is an inevitable ending. The current news reports are overwhelming. Shichibukai Jinbei found himself so quickly, so other people will probably find him sooner or later. With the means and skills of those people, I am afraid that there is nothing to hide in East Blue. Now it seems that even if I don't want to set off a storm, the storm will come to me, and I can't hide it. Jerry thought about it for a long time that night, and finally thought it through. When the time is right, he will set off for the Great Route. Early the next morning, Jerry and Nami set off for Logatown. The reason for going to Logatown is because it is Jerry's hometown. Whether they go to see or not, they must go back and have a look. Second, coming there is also the only way to go to the Great Route. If you want to go there in the future, Logatown will not be avoided. Kokoyasi village is about 7 or 8 days away from Logatown, but basically Nami is steering the boat alone, and Jerry is like a second uncle studying his abilities in his room all day long. He believes that since he is going to make a foray on the Great Route, there are all kinds of opponents with different strengths, and it is better to enrich one's own strength than to be led by others. However, he thinks that he still has a great advantage, that is, as long as the strength is relatively strong. Jerry knows them quite well. On the third day after coming out of Kokoyasi village, after dinner, Nami let the boat go along the ocean current and floated directly in the direction of Logatown. But in the middle of the night, the sea pigeon kept by Nami suddenly screamed, and the sound caught Nami's attention. She came out of the room to see what was going on. When she looked straight ahead of the boat, almost broke out in a cold sweat. It turned out that the reason why the pigeons kept calling was because the ship was about to hit a small island, and the sail was confiscated. At this time, taking advantage of the sea breeze, the speed of the ship was very fast, and it would not be long before it hit the island. Nami screamed out, and quickly called Jerry out and pulled the sails, which slowed the speed of the boat, but fortunately it didn't hit the island. However, the appearance of this island was very strange. Nami stood on the boat and looked at the island, and she muttered in her heart. I remember that there are no islands on this route. How could a small island appear out of thin air? Jerry also looked at the small island in front of him with a bewildered expression. He had never seen this island before. How could the whole world have changed after staying in Kokoyasi village for a few days? The two looked at the island carefully, and found that the island was a bit unusual. The whole body seemed to be wrapped in a layer of wooden boards. There was a gate for the boat to enter and exit in the center of their boat. At this time, Jerry and Nami's boat was from there. The gate is coming in. Looking further into the distance, the rocks on the island stand, and there seem to be 2 sails. Wait, this island, Jerry seemed to remember something. The island looks eerie. Bang! With a loud bang, the gate behind them slammed shut, trapping Jerry's boat inside. Ouch, I'm going, it's a fucking dreadnought bark. Nami exclaimed. What, is this a ship? Jerry felt that something was wrong with this island from the beginning. When he saw the gate behind him, he suspected it was a terrifying bark. Then the gate behind him suddenly closed, which made Jerry more confident. Guess. This ship is not in the magic triangle of the Great Waterway. Why did it suddenly come to East Blue? Jerry, what the hell are you talking about? Jerry pointed to the huge sailboat that looked like an island and said. This is actually one of the Shichibukai, the horror bark of Gecko Moria. I don't know why it suddenly appeared in East Blue. Heard that it was Shichibukai's ship, Nami was so frightened that she almost collapsed. That was Shichibukai. They are the 7 great pirates recognized by the world government. It fell into the hands of Shichibukai, and it was definitely less fortunate. Chapter 17 Gecko Moria. Nami looked shocked. Now the gate behind her was closed. Obviously, the opponent was trying to capture them. Jerry, what are we going to do now? Jerry glanced at him and snickered inwardly when she saw that she was a little scared. Why, do you have times when you're afraid? Seeing that Jerry was still talking and laughing, Nami suddenly became angry. What time is it? Are you still joking? Jerry shrugged his shoulders. I'm not kidding, I thought it was too late for you to be happy. Nami froze for a moment. What do you mean? What do you mean it's too late to be happy? Jerry pointed to the inside of the sailboat and said. I remember that Moria's bounty was more than 300 million, right? When it came to the bounty, Nami's eyes immediately brightened. Ouch, how did I forget this? But when I think about it, something is wrong. No, you are more than enough to deal with these pirates in East Blue. Do you know what Shichibukai is? Of course I know. Knowing that we're not leaving soon. Go. Why go? Are you waiting for someone else to catch you if you don't go? Jerry pointed to the closed gate behind. The doors are closed, how do I get out? Nami stopper. Actually you don't need to worry that much, but what I'm curious about is why this ship is in East Blue. Nami also nodded. Yeah, why did Shichibukai appear in East Blue? Just when the two of them were puzzled, they saw a lot of dark shadows moving from the shore, and they couldn't see each other's appearance in the dark night. Nami was already trembling in her heart, and she didn't know what the hell this place was. Jerry's heart is very clear. These should be the people who are enslaved and controlled by Moria. It was once said that ships often disappear in the Devil's Triangle, even if they are captured by these three-masted sailing ships, and the people on board are also controlled. But Jerry wasn't worried at all. He knew the situation here very well, but it was Nami, who was trembling, which made Jerry couldn't help laughing. In the crowd, a voice suddenly came out. Another boat caught. The voice was eerie and terrifying, and she trembled when she heard more than one sentence, and Nami trembled even more. Jerry stretched his arms around Nami's arms. As soon as it comes, let's go ashore and have a look. As soon as she heard that she was going to go ashore, Nami gave up and refused to live or die. If you don't want to go up with me, don't look for me if you encounter any ghosts. Nami scolded Jerry from head to toe in her heart. Isn't this an obvious threat to her? But she still gave in very much. Then you have to keep an eye on me. Jerry laughed. Don't worry, it's fine with me. Jerry hugged Nami's small waist, kicked his feet under his feet, and easily landed on the shore with the elasticity of the boat. After landing on the shore, I found that there were some listless people around, and some looked like zombies. These people looked eerie and weak, and they looked terrible. Nami didn't dare to open her eyes to look at them, but Jerry shouted loudly after landing. Do you have anyone here who is responsible for speaking? Come out. No one said anything from those people, and Jerry shouted again. Is there anyone who speaks? I'll leave without me. Seeing that there was no response, Jerry took Nami all the way inside. However, these zombies don't seem to intend to let Jerry leave easily. All of them are concentrated and ready to deal with Jerry. But Jerry didn't take them seriously at all. His fingers flicked, and slashes were released from between his fingers, and these zombies were all slashed under his fingers. After passing through a series of quirky places, I came to a house with a style similar to medieval Europe. But along the way, Jerry had noticed that someone was secretly stalking the two of them. Jerry guessed that the person who followed them should be the person with the ability of the transparent fruit, but he forgot what it was called, and the name is quite difficult to remember. Seeing that no one answered in the room, and the transparent person who followed them refused to show up and didn't intend to leave, Jerry was a little unhappy. He secretly removed a button from Nami's clothes, pressed it on his fingertips, and popped the button in his direction when the transparent man was not paying attention. The button flew towards the transparent man like a blazing bullet. The transparent man was unpredictable that Jerry would make another move. He thought that Jerry hadn't noticed him at all, but he didn't expect to make a heavy hand as soon as he made a shot. One accidentally hit the knee with a button. Ayo! The transparent man couldn't stand Jerry's ejection, screamed in pain, knelt down on one knee, and showed his true body. Nami suddenly heard a cry, and she was also startled. She looked behind her, but saw a person suddenly appeared, and she was even more frightened. She gasped and hid behind Jerry. Jerry laughed. Don't be afraid, it's just personal. Nami came out and looked at the man, and when she saw the man's face, she screamed again. Die Jerry, you lied again. How does he look like a human? Clearly like a cat. That transparent man was Absalom, one of Moria's three weirdos, and his face was specially modified. Not only does it have the jaws of a lion, the skin of an elephant, the wild power of a bear and an orangutan that adds up to 300 kilograms, it is full of fighting flavor. It's a pity that such a manly appearance actually made Nami look like a cat, and her self-esteem suffered a strong blow. Hey, who do you think looks like a cat? This is clearly a lion. Hearing that the cat was still talking and complaining, Nami slowly looked over and found that this person's image was a little weird, but his body was a real person, but she still didn't dare to talk to him. Naomi pulled the corner of Jerry's shirt, and Jerry understood it instantly and said to Absalom, "Hey, are you alone here?" Absalom doesn't seem to care about this issue. He frowned at Jerry and asked, "Hey boy, did you see me just now?" Jerry chuckled lightly. "You are hiding there, breathing so loudly, and the footprints on the ground are so obvious, who can't find it?" Absalom felt that the young man in front of him was not so simple, and immediately asked, "Hey boy, who are you and what's your name?" Jerry didn't want to deal with the pervert. "What's my name? Why should I tell you?" It was the first time that Absalom had eaten such a big shrivel, and Jerry's finger snap just now made him even more angry. "I said kid, you'd better restrain your arrogance, or don't blame me for being rude." Jerry chuckled inwardly. He knew very well what this wretched pervert had, but no matter how wretched his fruit ability was, to Jerry, it was not worth mentioning at all, and he didn't answer his questions, but instead asked, "Gecko Moria is not staying at the Great Air University and running East Blue for what?" Absalom's tiger body shook. How did you know we were from Moria?" Chapter 18 The Real Purpose, Seeking Recommendation Ticket. Jerry wiped his nose. "This place in East Blue is poor and poor. Why did you come all the way here?" Absalom ignores. "Little devil, you still don't know where you are, yet you dare to speak to me in such a tone." Jerry laughed. "Just you." Absalom suddenly used his ability and hid all his body. When Naomi saw this scene, she screamed again and again. Why is he gone?" Jerry said helplessly. "What's all the fuss about? He's a power man and has gone invisible." Naomi said in surprise. "Able person, stealth. Yeah, a transparent fruit, it can make oneself transparent. But this kind of fruit is not only a bit more obscene, but to me, it is a waste fruit." Absalom was even more angry when he heard that Jerry slandered his own fruit like this. He wanted to take advantage of the transparency and sneak up to Jerry's side to give him some color. But at this moment, the iron door outside the big house was suddenly opened, and a series of plates flew out from inside. Jerry's eyes were quick. He hugged Naomi's slender waist and dodged the past. Pity that Absalom, who didn't respond in time, was caught by this series of dishes. The plate hit his body, and he was so embarrassed that he had to show his true shape. At this time, a woman with short blonde hair, scars all over her body, and a somewhat gloomy appearance came out from the iron gate. When she saw this woman for the first time, at first glance, Naomi felt that this woman was abnormal. "Hey Jerry, it's weird here, I think we'd better get out early." "Nla, it's not as scary as you think." Naomi felt that she was on Jerry's pirate ship, and even if she wanted to turn back, there was no way out. "This woman is the servant of this house, Cinderella." Jerry glanced at Shindali and smiled at Naomi. "Come on, Naomi, how about this zombie?" As soon as she heard the word, zombie, Naomi's legs softened, and she had to support Jerry's body and dare not move. In Jerry's memory, in addition to the transparent man just now, Moria should have two more subordinates. One is Perona's crush, and the other is the doctor who is one of the shapers of this zombie. What's the name of Hogbuck? Absalom pointed to Sindori inside and shouted. "Hey, what are you beating me for with the plate?" Shinduoli ignored Absalom's questioning, but pointed at Jerry and Naomi. "These two people cannot enter." Absalom rubbed his chest. "These two are our guests." Jerry raised his eyebrows. "Guest? When did you become your guest?" Suddenly Jerry thought that the Hogbuck was cooperating with Moria, creating some kind of zombie army, and the people who disappeared in the magic triangle were imprisoned by them, and their shadows were subtracted by Moria. It seems that they capture the passing ships, and then reduce their shadows in order to capture these people. They pretend to be guests, but in fact, they are controlled by others when we don't pay attention to the shadows. "It's good to ask you to enter the urn, but I'm not fooled." Following Sindori's words, Jerry said. "We're not interested in going in anyway, let alone being your guests." Seeing that Jerry and Naomi are about to fly, another person came out of the house at this time, but this person's taste, Jerry and Nami, are really not flattering. Then with a round belly and a net coat and leather pants, he looks like he has a strong taste. This person is Dr. Hogbuck, one of the 3 weirdos of this horrible bark. I'm sorry you two, it was my servant who was rude. Turning to Shinduoli, he said. Shinduoli, these 2 are our distinguished guests, don't offend them. However, Shinduoli didn't seem to care much about Hogbuck's words, but said very angrily. The plate must disappear from this world at all. Then he turned around and went back into the house. Hogbuck doted on Shindali the most, so he didn't blame her for all her actions, so he had to let him go back. He turned his head and said to Jerry and the 2. I'm sorry you two, this is my maid, Shinduoli, she's not polite, don't mind. Looking at Hogbuck's flattering face, Jerry couldn't get any interest, and suddenly he thought of something. This time Moria traveled thousands of miles from the Great Route to East Blue, maybe just to find him. This time, the news of the angel's reappearance in the world has spread all over the world. All forces want him, and this Moria is definitely no exception. And as Shichibukai, Moria is definitely the worst among Shichibukai. He was defeated by Kaido, one of the 4 emperors in the New World in the early years, and killed not one of his crew members. Hit the hardest. At the same time, Moria is also the person who wants to make a comeback the most. The current situation is very inconsistent with his glorious Shichibukai identity. He also desperately needs to prove himself. Jerry's angel ability has reappeared, and Moria must be the most eager to reach a cooperation intention with Jerry after knowing the news. The 3 eccentrics under his command are, in the final analysis, unreliable. If you want to gain a firm foothold in the New World, you must have truly powerful companions. Moria's own fruit ability can't be regarded as top-notch, and his own development is not good enough, which makes him very demanding of his companions, and the appearance of an angel at this time is the best temptation for him. If Jerry cooperates with him, not only will all the pirates look at him with admiration, I am afraid that even the world government will have to re-examine and change their attitude towards him. After thinking about this, Jerry also understands why this 3-masted sailboat appeared in East Blue, but most people have never seen his appearance, and he was not photographed when he arrested Krieg last time. So this is an advantage for him, and he can secretly observe the changes and attitudes of various forces. But for Moria, Jerry probably doesn't like it at all. Hey, why don't you ask your big boss behind the scenes to come out and greet the guests in person? Hogbuck and Absalom's eyeliner turned black. What is Moria's identity? How can she come to greet these 2 little devils in person? But of course Hogbuck won't show it on the surface. Judging from the way Jerry beat Absalom just now, they know that Jerry's strength should be good. If his shadow is reduced and placed on a strong zombie, it should be there will be good results. As for Nami, she looks good, and it's good to stay here as a servant. Of course, all this is their own lust. If they know that the object of their lust is the person they have come from thousands of miles to find, they don't know how they feel in their hearts. Seeing that there was no response from these 2, Jerry thought to leave early. If you don't want to, then forget it, let's go. Said to go outside. Wait. Absalom suddenly stopped in front of the 2. Get on this ship, but don't even think about going out. Jerry sneered. Really? Chapter 19 Meeting Ceremony, Recommended Ticket. Seeing that he was caught with a big head in a circle, of course, Absalom would not let Jerry and Nami run away so easily. In East Blue, it is no better than in the foggy sea area of the Great Route, where the thick fog can make some inexperienced ships stray into their territory, but East Blue is peaceful and can only be seen at night. May encounter some sporadic lost lambs. But it's not every time they can catch those ships. Jerry and Nami are the first people they meet here. Now Moria is building his zombie army, and it is urgent to expand the number of the army. Jerry and Nami, the 2 of them, will naturally not be easily let go. Absalom suddenly became transparent again, and Jerry sneered. Tips for carving bugs. Even if Jerry is not proficient in hockey at this time, the breath of Absalom's body, and the sounds and traces he makes when he moves can't escape Jerry's eyes and ears. Besides Absalom's special abilities, any other fighting techniques related to combat are almost incomparable. Even his hundreds of kilograms of wild attack power were transplanted by Audiobook. Absalom wanted to punch Jerry while he was transparent, but he didn't know that his actions were all heard by Jerry. Hear the debate. Because of the fruit's ability, Jerry's senses, such as sight, hearing, taste, smell, etc., are far beyond ordinary people. Absalom's sleazy attack, Jerry didn't even bother to look him in the eye. When Absalom was about to approach Nami, he flew up. The biggest feature of Zone's fruit ability is to enhance physical fitness. As a rare variety of mythical, Jerry's power is naturally unmatched by ordinary people. Fuck you. This kick went straight to Absalom's lower abdomen. Bang. PFF'd. Jerry hates this kind of perverted erotic maniac the most. At this time, he still doesn't forget his wretched desire to wipe Nami's oil. This kick uses almost half of his power. Absalom was spinning almost in a spiral, and the speed of the jet flew to the distance, coughing up a mouthful of dried blood in pain. Bloodstains spread all the way to the open space 50 meters away along the route of his flight. Seeing Jerry's astonishing power, Audiobook's face almost froze. He didn't expect a tough stubble this time. It's really hard to deal with. Seeing that he was not an opponent, Audiobook smeared oil on the soles of his feet and slipped into the castle behind him with a squeak. To his relief, Jerry didn't chase after him, but turned and walked outside. After walking out a few steps, I saw Absalom lying on the ground not far away, still enduring the severe pain from Jerry's kick. Little devil, who are you? Jerry snorted coldly. You came to East Blue without knowing who I am, or who gave you the courage. At the same time, Absalom gathers a lot of zombies, one by one looking for his trouble. The images of these zombies are weird. Some look like dead rag dolls made of cloth, some are humanoids that are randomly piled up with some inexplicable things, and some look like dead people at all, extremely terrifying. The zombies all gathered around Absalom, all trying to attack him to vent their anger. At this moment, a lot of pale people walked out from the nearby woods. These people were as thin as bones, almost turned into skin and bones, and they looked very scary. When Nami saw these people, she was almost frightened again. She had been frightened many times since she boarded this horrible bark. These are the people whose shadows were stolen by Moria, because after the shadows are stolen, people without shadows will be burned to ashes if they are exposed to the sun. Therefore, these people have been hiding in the shadows all year round, afraid to see the sun, resulting in pale faces and a terminally ill appearance. These people gathered around Jerry, and one of them was a little bolder and said, "Please, save us." Jerry said, "Huh? Are you?" Those whose shadows were stolen then told the two of their experiences. Most of these people came up by mistake in the fog. Later, their shadows were stolen without paying attention, and they were trapped here. Seeing Jerry kicking Absalom into the air just now, he must be very strong. They all hoped that Jerry could take them out of the sea of misery, so they showed up to complain and beg Jerry for help. Although Nami is greedy for money, she is kind-hearted. Hearing what happened to this group of people, she also felt sympathy. "Hey, why don't you help them?" Jerry glanced at Nami. "I was scared to death just now, but now I start to sympathize with them." Nami pouted and said angrily, "Frightened, but they are so miserable, shouldn't we rescue them?" Jerry ignored those people. "Don't forget, in the Great Waterway, those who can accidentally break into the foggy sea are probably pirates, and these people are probably the same." Nami was at a loss for words. At the same time, these people did not dare to say anything. Indeed, most of them were pirates. But Jerry suddenly said, "It's not impossible to save you, but I have a request." As soon as those people heard it, there seemed to be some hope, and their expressions turned cloudy and sunny. "Whatever is required, we will do what we can." Jerry glanced at Nami. "Then tell them not to be pirates in the future." Jerry's decision can be said to be in Nami's heart, issue of Nami's newspaper. Yes, you don't want to be pirates in the future. Find a place to live well, which is better than anything else. Hearing that Jerry's request was so simple, these people were all grateful. As early as when they were shadowed by Moria's head, they already regretted stepping on the road of pirate heaven. Even if Jerry didn't make this request, they would obediently get rid of the identity of the pirate. At the same time, in the depths of the castle, Hogbuck was quietly coming into a huge room. A huge body nearly 7 meters tall paced back and forth in the room. What you said is true. Hogbuck nodded quickly. I saw it with my own eyes. He kicked Absalom dozens of meters away. If I can get the shadow of this person, then my zombie army will be even more powerful. When the time comes to negotiate with the angels, I will have a bargaining chip. Maybe I can convince him in one fell swoop. Cooperate with me. It was the owner of this bark, Gecko Moria, one of the Shichibukai, who spoke. After hearing Hogbuck describe Jerry's strength, Moria thought of getting Jerry's shadow even more. If he put his shadow into the corpses in his hands, the zombie strength he would get is absolutely shocking. Then use such a powerful zombie as a meeting gift to prove his strength. When you go to see an angel-capable person, you will be very sure to convince him to cooperate with him. Once the two sides cooperate, Moria's own wish to make a comeback will be just around the corner. When he thinks of this, Moria's heart is full of passion, and he will get all the things he once lost. Chapter 20 Looking for Perona, recommended ticket. Jerry's guess was good. Moria came all the way to East Blue this time to gain his trust and hope that the two sides will work together. But this time Jerry is begging from the other victims on the ship to save them. This forced Jerry to turn around and deal with Moria. Since it was Nami who pleaded, Jerry went back immediately, but he asked Nami to go to the boat first. The rest stayed on the side of the boat to keep Nami safe. But Moria's abilities are rather special. As Shichibukai, there is no need to say much about his own strength. Jerry was thinking about how to break his damn ability when he suddenly saw the icy waters mercilessly slapping the land-like giant ship, and Jerry was inspired. Nami, give me all the salt from our ship. Nami didn't know what to do, but she took out all the salt according to Jerry's instructions. There wasn't much at sea, except for the salt. Jerry picked up all the salt in a hemp bag in the cabin, and then took the lighter from the boat. Zombies are afraid of fire, so bring a lighter just in case. Salt is the best thing to restrain Moria's fruit ability. Jerry brought such a large bag over there, making it clear that Moria would not be better off. After leaving his ship, Jerry ran all the way towards the gloomy castle. Absalom, who was knocked to the ground by him, had disappeared, and he must have gone to see Moria. The gate of the castle was still open, but at this time there was no one around, and Jerry entered the castle without encountering any obstacles. However, it was also empty inside. When he came to the living room, he found that most of the furnishings here were different. I thought it was all the zombies arranged by Moria here. Jerry remained calm, and when he first stepped in, he saw a dining table in the middle. As he got closer to the dining table, the oil paintings on the wall began to move. Jerry secretly squeezed a handful of salt in his hand, and suddenly spread the salt all around. Those zombies were unexpectedly using salt, and they were all hit. Almost all the zombies after being recruited were purified by sea salt, and many black shadows sprang from the bodies of these zombies and dispersed. At this moment, the whole room was quiet. Jerry looked around at his comrades, wondering which way to go to find Moria. But the castle was too big, and Moria didn't know where to hide, so finding him would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. After thinking for a while, Jerry decided to exit the gate of the castle. Since I can't find you, then I'll lead you out. Jerry expects that Hogbuck and Absalom will go back to Moria to report their situation to him, so sooner or later they will find him. Why bother to find them? The three-masted sailboat is very large, and your castle is not small in the center of the ship. Jerry looks up at the spire of the castle, thinking that there should be a view of the whole ship. So 3 vertical and 2 jumps went up to the roof and came to the top of the steeple in the center of the castle. Since it was already dark, the vision was unclear, and Jerry couldn't see too far away, so he could only focus on the situation of the entire castle. But for some unknown reason, the castle was very deserted at this time. "No, I remember there were a lot of zombies here, why are they all gone?" Also driven by people, at this time, Moria is assembling the 3 weirdos under his command. How can zombies come out in the middle of the night for a stroll? Moria called the 3 weirdos just to see how to catch Jerry, but she didn't expect to be waiting outside. After looking at the front and back for a long time without seeing a half figure, Jerry became impatient. "If you delay any longer, it's almost dawn, and you can't even sleep." Since he couldn't see anyone, Jerry opened his throat and shouted, "Hello, is Moria here? Come out and meet the guests." ... After repeating 2 sentences like this, finally, there was movement in the castle. There was a roar in the house at the inner end of the castle, and many strange zombies ran out, followed by Hogbuck and Absalom. But these 2 idiots only know where to look around the land and where to find Jerry. Jerry watched from the top of the tower, hoping to wait until Moria showed up, but the old fox let others do everything and didn't show up at all. Just as Jerry looked left and right, he saw a few white ghost-like things floating from the ground, which made him feel alert. "How did I forget that guy?" This white ghost was cast by Perona, one of Moria's 3 weirdos. This ability is very tricky, especially her passive ghost, which is simply a big killer. If he was pierced by that thing, he would only be slaughtered, which made Jerry feel uneasy for a while, wondering if his mind and willpower could withstand the ability of this fruit. Although he hasn't tried it, Jerry feels that if a person's fruit ability is developed more successfully and his willpower is strong enough, he should be able to withstand this negative ghost. But he has not tried it, nor dare to try it randomly. Let's find out where Perona's body is first, otherwise it's no joke if he gets attacked from behind. Right now, the 2 idiots, Jerry, Hogbuck and Absalom, don't care at all, the only ones who are worried about ability. After avoiding the sight of the white ghost, Jerry secretly jumped off the tower from the top of the tower and came to a house behind the castle, looking for Perona's true body one by one. In order to avoid the zombie army commanded by Hogbuck and Absalom, Jerry first starts from the top building. According to Jerry's understanding, Perona's real body was hidden in a certain room, going down from the top floor, just 2 floors down the stairs, when he heard hurried footsteps at the entrance of the stairs. It sounded like a lot of people were running towards him. In order not to expose himself, Jerry hid behind a pillar, and when he peeked, they were all running toys. Jerry was puzzled. "These aren't they really toys, are they?" One of the toys, which looked like a banana face, ran and said, "Someone broke in, hurry up and protect the real body of Perona-sama." "I'm going, and there are such good things. If you are looking for something, someone will lead the way." Jerry secretly followed the group of toys and ran to the door of a house deep in the floor. The group of toys looked around at the door of the room, and when they saw that there was nothing out of the ordinary, they breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately no one broke in. Said that he pushed gate of opening, Jerry, who was far away, saw a little loli with pink double ponytail hairstyle kneeling on a princess bed in the room. At this time, Perona's soul should have gone out of body, so the real body is sitting quietly on the bed. Jerry gave a sly smile. "I'm sorry little loli,